Yo! Hello, everybody. Hello. Dude, there's a fucking patch coming out tomorrow. What is up with the Ella? Wait, the game's maintenance is for fucking 8 hours tomorrow? Wait, it's even longer. I'll sign up for that hockey game then. Dude, random tip of the day, guys. If you guys know anyone that's super into anime, call them cartoons. If you ever just want to, like, fucking just get them real good. Just a quick shout. Max, are you going to play some with the increased crest drops? No. No. I think it would have kept me longer in the season, but at this point it's like, you know. You know? You know. You know. I think I might play the patch, you know? Maybe I'll fuck around and get weird on the patch. Right? Why not? Where's the cam? Oh, dude, it's actually there. You just can't see it. That's crazy. I thought I like forgot to put it up, but it's actually there. I can't tell you where it would be. That would be illegal. I can't do that. Hello, Max from USAF overseas. What the fuck does that mean? USAF. Oh, U.S. Air Force. Fuck yeah. You in a plane right now? That's my bit, is that if you're in the Air Force, you're just literally, if I'm hearing from you, you are currently in a plane. Pay attention to the plane, buddy. Now you're home for the holidays, stationed in Italy. Oh, cool, man. That's good. Hope you guys get to see your family over the holidays. I saw a TikTok recently that was like, well, actually, I guess the proper way to say this is I heard of someone watching a TikTok and then I took the knowledge from it. But basically, and I might be about to like mind fuck you guys a little bit, so be prepared. If you don't want to, you've been warned. But basically, this guy has like 70-year-old parents, and he's like, okay, well, like, how often do you see your parents? And they're like, well, I try to travel and see them like once a year. And so he's like, well, okay, so like statistically, if they live as long as they should, you're saying you have 20 more years left with them. But if you're only seeing them once a year, maybe every other year, you actually are only going to see them 10 or 20 more times. And when you look at it like that, that's like kind of fucking crazy, right? So go see your family, you know? Go see your family as much as you can. That's all I'm saying. Currently, I live in Los Angeles and my sister lives in Miami, and our parents still live where we grew up, so they still live in Louisville, Kentucky. But what we talked about doing is like once my sister figures out where she wants to settle down, if it's in like because she's in her residency right now, but like when she actually gets a job, you know, when she like I think she's gonna do like locums for a bit, which is it's like you're an independent contractor doctor and you kind of just work as much or as little as you want and you get assigned to different places and stuff like that. But like once she actually like wants to like stay in one place, if it's no state income tax, I'd probably move there and then find a way to get our parents out there. just so we could all be in the same area. I feel like that would make, you know, make it way easier than like living on the opposite side of the country as them. What up, Max? Race to World last update. We are currently sniffing P3 of Silken. Oh, that's pretty good. I feel like you're on pace then. I feel like this tier is a really weird tier. If you get past Silken Court, you're going to get cutting edge. Like Ansarek is a massively nerfed version of what it was, and Silken Court seems to be the barrier. Like if you are able to kill, like usually in tiers, it's very possible that you're able to kill the second to last boss, but then the last boss is like too hard for you. You know, like it's just a little bit above your guild's level. This tier, it's like that wall is definitely Silken. Like Ansarek was way harder than Silken Court, but like now with nerfs, it's become significantly easier. Because like nerfs don't really nerf Silken. Like you still have to do everything right on Silken to kill it. You don't have to do that on Ansarek. You can do a lot of things wrong and still kill it. Max, how would you describe Fired Up as an overall player? He's good, yeah. Oh, we read your life advice thing. Wow, Trekker. I don't know if we released the content yet, but we did it. If anyone else is aware or unaware, patrons will be able to hear this. But basically, we do like a life advice section on the Potty C, and Wow Trucker put one in, and he unironically asked us to help pick between. So Wow Trucker is very true to his name. He is a trucker full time. He drives trucks across the country for his job, and I'm assuming on Starlink or some other way to get internet. He like plays WoW during the times when he's not driving, which you can only drive a certain amount in a day. So his life advice thing to us on the podcast was actually having us help pick between two trucks he wants to invest in. And obviously, this may surprise you, but Dradnos, Dorky, and I do not know a lot about the trucking industry. But we looked into it, and I think we gave a good recommendation, so that's good. You know? Max, I've been watching the VODs from your Seppi C progress on your channel, and they are great. Is it possible for you to upload the other VODs from that? The ones called Race World First Day 8 and so on. You are still... Where are you watching those? Are they on Twitch? And to answer your question, by the way, I have absolutely no idea. If they're... I don't even know that they're still there. But, like, it's under highlights. Oh, interesting. Yeah, no, I think, like, they automatically delete VODs after a certain amount of time, so highlights kind of make sense. I think those VODs are probably gone forever, but I do have good news. If you guys ever want to go back and watch, like, the Amir Drasil race, or the... I think, actually, was I dual streaming on YouTube during Amir Drasil? I actually don't know if I was, but I am for this race, and the YouTube live streams stay forever. Unfortunately, they don't have music because of audio splitting and stuff like that. The YouTube VODs cut at 12 hours, though. Oh, that's right. The Twitch VODs don't have music either. They did back then, but they don't anymore because I split the audio. You can sometimes hear it through my microphone. Did you guys know that during this past Race to World First, I think 3 out of the days or so, I didn't make any income from on YouTube stream, even though I wasn't playing music, and it's because I have open back headphones, and some like very popular music was just playing. Some very popular music was just playing, like, and it just heard it. And that was a lot. Like, I think during the race, like, an average YouTube stream revenue would be, like, somewhere between, like, $2,000 or $3,000 just from the ads. So I just lost, like, probably $6 to $9 grand because I am choosing to wear open back headphones in general. You could look at it that way, which is fucking stupid. Also, the entire like DMCA thing is not great, right? Get that Monster Cat streaming license. They have good tunes. Nah, I'm not into it. Oh, someone in YouTube chat asked earlier, see them often? They should come out for your world first race sometime. What, my family? They do. Yeah. They have before. Yeah. I think what I'm gonna do during the next race is my mom said that like her and dad could maybe fly out and just like, you know, stay at my house in LA. Cause like for the past like 4 years, so for the past races from Amirdrasil all the way back through Castle Nathria, which is a long time, I had a girlfriend during that time that was living with me. So when we were doing races, like all the dogs were taken care of, the house was being looked at, and now I don't have a live-in girlfriend, right? So like my parents offered to like fly out here and watch the dogs, so I don't have to board them for that long, and that would be extremely cash money. That'd be so good. I'll watch the dogs for you. Bro, you cast the race. You're there. What do you mean? Live-in girlfriend is a wild statement out of context. Yeah, but like it makes sense, right? Like I guess it's literal. It is like an interesting thing to say, but yeah. Yeah, Max, how about that scream on the Game Awards? Yeah, dude, I haven't listened to 21 Pilots in years, but that performance was actually incredible. That made me want to listen to them again. Dude, I saw a tweet that kind of summed up my feelings. They were like, 21 Pilots is actually a really good band, but it's unfortunate that their following has a Nightmare Before Christmas vibe or whatever. And that's so true. And they did like, I think like right when they started getting popular, they were doing some like movie soundtrack stuff like Heathens, and it sounded like a little put on. I can kind of get that, but they have great music, and specifically their singer is like pretty fucking good. Like as someone who sang for a living for a bit, his control up top, light, and then specifically that line that everyone's been referencing, that like scream, how like I know it's like probably mixed and they have like some auto tuning going on, but like you can kind of tell when it's heavy, but the way he transitioned into that scream was fucking mint, dude. Let me see if I can let me pull this up so you guys actually like know what I'm talking about. How would I even find this? Maybe if I just search for like 21 Pilots on Twitter. I remember seeing I'm sure it'll show up. 21 Pilots. Let's see. Give me a Oh, here it is. No, dude, this is the actual tweet that popped off too. Look, so 21 Pilots is actually pretty fucking cool band, but they have the Nightmare Before Christmas sort of fandom, and it's unfortunate for their talent. Banger tweet. But here, listen to this. Listen to this guy. I was really impressed before this. Also, it's a live performance. No way this nukes my YouTube VOD, right? No way. That is so hard to do. That is so hard to do. Especially because he's singing those notes in that register for like 2 minutes beforehand, but not even in a falsetto, just really light and really controlled and just really fucking like present and crisp, and you could hear everything. And then to do that and then have those same notes at a scream like that is just fucking, like, vocally, it's insane. Super good. Max, have you ever watched voice teachers react videos? Yeah, I have. That's pretty good content. I don't really care about the voice. The more that they're like trying to describe, I've had a lot of voice teaching in my life. I have very briefly taught voice, but like hearing them talk about all the mechanics behind the singing doesn't really interest me as much. I just think it's a really cool thing to find a song or a performance that you find really cool and like really wowed you, and seeing other people react to it is really addictive for sure. I've done that for all different kinds of music too. So singing, but also like, I don't know, every time I hear, do you guys listen to songs over and over again? Like you like hear a song for the first time and you're like, holy shit, that slaps. Then you listen to it like fucking 200 times. Okay, so like those kind of songs, when you really like a song like that, they're like pretty much any genre. I like looking up reactions of them if I can, because I just want to like relive what it looks like for someone hearing that for the first time again, because I remember how I felt. What is it? Yeah, just that Nickelback is hated because they are just doing what everyone else is doing. Meanwhile, Imagine Dragons and 21 Pilots are actually original. Okay, Nickelback, I don't even think there's any other way to look at. I think like the Nickelback hate is so forced. Like the guy's got a super unique voice, and because of that, like kind of all their music sounds the same. But Nickelback has some fucking bangers, dude. Now, keep in mind, I'm biased. I'm not like a huge Nickelback fan, but my Twitter profile picture is a picture of Chad Kroeger holding up a photograph from the music video shoot of the song Photograph. So, you know, take my opinion for whatever, you know, like, you know, or disregard it entirely as usual. But Nickelback's fine, dude. I remember as a kid I had that what's their Nickelback albums? Silver Side Up, bro. Silver Side Up was probably one of my first albums. Oh, what's happening? Dude, ad block, stop that. Nickelback is objectively speaking so much better than anything Imagine Dragons or 21 Pilots will ever make. Okay, so you use the word objective, and I feel like almost everything we're discussing right now is purely subjective. But that's fine. I also like to say when things are objective just to put the point home. I also don't really mind Imagine Dragons either, I guess. But I also haven't, like, what makes people dislike someone like Imagine Dragons? Is it like they hear like one of their first songs and they're like, okay, that's kind of a bop, and then you feel like they keep making music that chases, like, basically, I guess, is it they're too normie? They're trying to make everything a radio hit. They don't really have, like, usually when music is really close to people and special to people, it can, like, the lyrics and everything just matter so much to them. So if you feel like someone's just making music just to make music and they don't really have like a, not like a message, but like a presence behind them for like what they care about, right? Like maybe an example of this is System of a Down, right? Like you can't listen to a System of a Down song without like purely understanding how, which I found this really interesting because as a kid I listened to System of a Down and I was just like, okay, this band is amazing, right? It just sounds so good. Also just like vocal harmony at that level for that kind of music was just like really unique. And then as an adult, you realize you like go back and listen to all those songs and you're like, holy dude, this is about some deep fucking shit. And as a kid, I was listening to BYOB thinking like everybody's going to the party to have a real good time. I just thought we were going to a party, you know? But like you're just a fucking kid and you're stupid. And then as an adult, you just realize the deeper meaning behind all of their music, and like they clearly are like, you know, it's not like they're making music and then like figuring out a message to go with it. Like it's like they're driven by a message for making music, and that's like really special and it means more to you. And like maybe those maybe a lot of those bands that people dislike are like, man, I can't believe this band is popular when they're just so fucking basic. Maybe that's why they're disliked. Because a lot of Imagine Dragon music does sound the same, but also as a vocalist, I think their singer's like really good. It's associated with League of Legends, so it's bad. What else do I need to know? Yeah, but Linkin Park is also now associated with League of Legends, and Linkin Park fucking owns. You know? Max, when you get another dog, I don't want to do that. I'm happy with my dogs right now. They're great. Old Linkin Park owns, new Linkin Park is doo-doo. I actually really liked their new stuff. I listened to their whole album a few times. I also think the Emptiness Machine, they're like, I guess that was like their hit single or like the first one they released when they, I think that is like one of Linkin Park's best songs. Like no nostalgia, no like, obviously there's like a little bit of recency bias, I guess, but like that song fucking slaps. That is an insane song. I would put that up there with like any of their old stuff, really. It's kind of hard to argue with it at the time because that music meant so much to so many people, and like clearly it probably doesn't have that impact on like an entire generation as it used to, but like just song for song, that is a fucking banger. There are still no skips on Hybrid Theory or Meteora. I'm more of a Meteora guy than Hybrid Theory. I think there's a few skips on Hybrid Theory, but Meteora is one of the best albums of all time. Yeah, just every single song goes crazy. What is it? League community is no worse than the Mythic Plus community. Might be a hot take. That's so random for a first-time message. League community is no worse than the Mythic Plus community. I think the League community and the WoW community are really similar in that they just feel like there's just such this large percentage of the population that has this really jaded, unhealthy relationship with a 20-year-old game and haven't been able to like figure that out in their head. Like it's just so prevalent. I wonder if that's like possible to not happen. Well, there's some games that have been out for a really long time, but there's also like weird, I think like depends where the company is from. Like I think about this all the time with Final Fantasy. Like more so the MMO. The MMO hasn't been out for as long as WoW. But like it's so interesting how they like idolize developers. Like I don't know if you guys have followed the like Final Fantasy add-on situation that's like a total fucking mess in that game. And like kind of the only way to look at it is it's just a massive failure on Square Enix's part. But because in the West there's such like reveration and like almost worshipping of Japanese developers, no one in the community points the finger at Square Enix for just having such a massive mishandling of this whole situation. It is so cut and dry, like their inability to detect or police these add-ons is causing everyone in the community to point fingers at each other and try to police this gray area of what's acceptable and what isn't, instead of them just like making their game fucking work, you know? Like if that was a WoW thing, like Blizzard would get all the blame, but like there's just, you know what I'm saying? Like when you hear people talk about Yoshi P or other like Japanese game directors, at least from the West's perspective, there's like this, worship's probably a strong word, but like they're on a pedestal. It feels like when people are like fans of celebrity musicians and stuff, like hardcore Swifties or something, where someone's personality is that they're a fan of a musician. Like their personality is, I identify as a fan of someone. I wonder why that is. I wonder why that is. What? Why are you the man leading a cult talking? Ah, yes, we do have a cult here. That's good. What is it? Asian fandoms are crazy. Yeah, I'm more speaking of the the West's idolization of like Yoshi P and other people like that. Because I feel like it's just, I mean, you could draw parallels to other games, but like there is no other way to look at it other than like Square Enix has just done a bad job of that entire add-on situation, either allowing them to be made at all, the inability to detect them, the overall policing of them if they don't want them, making sure they can't be used. You could do all those things, but they're not. And so the community's like in an uproar over it, and they're just fighting each other when like it is absolutely there. It is 100% Square Enix's fault to handle this. But I haven't seen a single take within the community of that. And I feel like because if they were like if you're actually in the Final Fantasy 14 community, if you were to like start something with saying you think that like Square Enix or Yoshi P has done a bad job, I think you'd have to like put so many disclaimers at the beginning to not have people like hate you, you know, just like get massive hate right away because they're not willing to accept that as part of the message. So I just wonder what it is about that like culture that makes people do that. Like I remember a couple years ago too, like they were talking about like Square Enix was talking about like the metaverse and like some like NFT gaming potential and shit. Like when gaming companies from the West did that, their entire Western audience was like, "Are you fucking kidding me with that shit?" And then like an Eastern and then one of the Eastern companies is doing it, and the same Western people like give them a pass because it's just they're on a higher level to them. That's what it feels like. From Software deserves idolization. Yeah, they make some banger games. I mean, you within your like your opinion, you could think anyone. I don't think anyone should be. I think like idolizing. I think idolization culture of anyone, game director, celebrity, musician, streamer. I think that's just like deeply unhealthy behavior because I don't know. I've met a lot of people, especially in like the gaming industry, that are like very, very well known and stuff like that, and they're all just normal people. And I feel like when you idolize people that are just normal, you're like setting yourself up for disappointment or just not understanding how like the world works, you know? You know, like the whole don't meet your heroes thing. Like people are like, don't meet your heroes. And what they mean by that is you don't want to meet your heroes, bro, because you'll realize they're really not that special. But like that's why you should meet your heroes, because thinking that any singular person is like really special is you're just missing the point. You are special, Max, as someone new to you, except for me, obviously, guys. Let's be real here. I'm special. Max Zeno thinks the exact same way you do. Would be cool to see you both speak on it together. I will not be speaking about anything about Final Fantasy ever. I want nothing, at least not like in a official forum. That I want nothing to do with that community. But I'm cool, really cool. Zeno. I've had a lot of conversations with him. I talked to him a lot when I was playing Final Fantasy. He was in LA recently, and I took him and Arthur's and Lamatad and Quasi out to dinner with a few other people. It's one of my favorite places out here, and that was really fun. And yeah, I mean, very like-minded. I like and respect a lot of those guys. They're really cool. I think idolization is fine if you can differentiate between talent and person. Sure. I guess the way I'm thinking of it, when I think of like idolization, I think of like stands. I think of like stan culture, like you see on social media, like someone's online presence will purely be about following and being a fan of someone. I just think like if I were to like ever find like a true red flag in a person, like something that would make me not want to be their friend or realize that I can't relate to them, it would be their personality being a fan of someone. I think it's pretty brutal. Unless you're a fan of me, in which case, welcome to the church. You know? Uh, Max, have you and Liquid started the logistical side of Race to World First for next raid? What do you mean? What does that mean? What do you like? Dude, your name on Twitch is Versace Chopsticks. What a fucking sick name. That is an insane name. I'm giving you mod for that. Love that shit. Holy moly. Yeah, grats on the bird, buddy. Someone in YouTube chat's trying to get mod. They said I named my firstborn child Liquid. All right, you get mod too. I think that's a bad decision making. I'll give you the opportunity to moderate my channel now. I was wondering when you guys start prep for the Race World First. Oh yeah, he's like, all right, cool, thanks for the mod, bro, but please answer my fucking question. Okay, so I guess we've already started the prep because as we're talking right now, let's find out. Twitch. I'm fired up stream. And they're doing clears. I think right now we do like 6 to 8 Mythic and Surex a week. And a bunch of that is gearing up a bunch of potential mains and alts for next tier that you need to have available. And you just need to have enough characters to be able to do splits, especially next year because like it's not simultaneous release anymore. Or it is a simultaneous release, no heroic week. Also, we are making gold. That's another preparation for the race. Is like you need to have enough gold to do the race, right? You need to have enough gold to pay helpers and buy BOEs, and consumables are super expensive in this expansion, right? So like you can see us 19 manning. That's a buyer. That's dead. And so that's a way of preparation. We've been recruiting players. We've been optimizing our roster. That's a way of preparing, but I don't think that's what you were asking. I'm assuming you mean like preparing for the bosses and, you know, looking at maybe like split plans. Like that stuff is kind of always ongoing. I will say the majority of prep for the raid, the upcoming patch, doesn't start until like logistically. I think you literally said logistically, if I remember correctly. When do you start the logistical side of Race World First? I think what you're asking is it kind of really starts when like you know what the bosses are and when the dungeon journal starts getting made. But even then you kind of want to wait a bit because like the dungeon journal has changed a lot, but like, you know, you just want to kind of start the little thinker going. How involved are you in all of this, especially recruitment? I think it's changed a lot over the years. So like back when I first became the raid leader and I was still just an officer, which was in the Legion, like Emerald Nightmare, that was like I was kind of thrust. I was an officer before that, but I was kind of thrust into being the leader. And then that like kind of changed throughout the expansion. And I think like at the beginning of BFA, I was literally doing everything. I was doing most of recruitment. I was doing the splits every week. I was in the raid leading. I was everything. I did everything for the guild. And that's like really unhealthy. And I also think that's just bad leadership. You don't set your guild up for success if you were to ever be gone, if you were to quit or like die or something. That's not good. And also having one person do that much is usually just inefficient. So, and it also means you have officers, but you're not actually trusting them to do important tasks. So then I started delegating things, and things have been delegated over the years to the point now where like I really focus on what I'm really, really good at, which is like comps, strats, and like raid leading in the Race to World First. A lot of the like logistical recruiting, Scott majorly does recruitment. I'm always consulted. I'm always there to like help make decisions. But also like I guess one more important thing is like after this tier I made Scott like co-GM. Scott was previously an officer, but now Scott is like running the guild with me in every sense. Made sure that he got promoted like at Liquid, you know, like it's not just in title. He's every much of the guild that I am a part of, he is a part of, and he has done a huge part of that. Like Scott does all of the splits right now. He and others are very involved in recruiting. I definitely don't do that as much now. I'm a big fan of like doing what you're really good at and then hiring people and empowering people that are good at things that you're not good at and giving them the actual power to do those things without overlooking them, or sorry, without looking over every decision they make, and let them be in charge of stuff and trust them. And we have a lot of people in the guild that are very good at doing that. Plus, recruiting at this level is kind of a guild-wide thing. Like, I think Scott definitely does the majority of it, but like at this level, the margins are so small and the level is so high that a lot of times recruiting someone might just be one of your best players having spent a lot of time with someone in an alt guild or done a bunch of Mythic Plus with somebody and just been able to get an impression of them. And like one of the best recruiting pitches I think I could get is like one of our better players coming to me and just being like, yo, I think this guy is good enough to play here, which almost never happens. But like if that does happen, I would trust them to only do that if they really felt that way. Because trials are like interesting in this guild. You can't, you have to be so sure of a trial. I feel like in so many guilds, you're just like, yeah, I'll just trial this guy. If it doesn't work, you who knows, right? But I feel like in a lot of your all's guilds, you can kind of tell in farm whether someone will be fine in progression or not to an extent. At this level, like, I don't know, there's probably like so many fucking people that could raid at Liquid's level for every boss in a Race to World First, all the way up until like the last two bosses or the last boss. And then you could be on the last boss and you realize that they're just like, that requires a level and they're just a little below that, and then they're not good enough. And the thing is with trialing people is we don't get like a regular season to test people out before the playoffs, you know? We do we're doing our preseason, regular season, and the playoffs and championship game all at once. So you have to be so sure of the trials you bring in. You don't have the ability to try someone and have it not work. If you do that in the wrong role, maybe you just lose that race. Maybe you try that on a healer that isn't quite good enough and you just fucking lose. Right? It's really complicated. So you have to make good decisions. Has Max given up on Path of Exile? I think so, man. I might try it again in the future, but I've tried PoE 1 like 2 or 3 times. And I just had the exact same feeling when trying PoE 2, and I just couldn't get into it, man. It's not my thing. Don't get why you hate it. I don't hate it. I don't like actively hate it. It's just like it doesn't. Have you guys ever played a game and you're just like, and then you just stop playing it? It's just that. It's not like a violent like feeling. It's just, you know, just whatever. Would you say high tier WoW rating is more of a mental thing than a very mechanical skill thing? It's just a lot of both. You need to be very, very mechanically skilled and extremely intuitive. I would say intuition's a big thing. Because, like, I think when a lot of people think of problem solving, they think of, like, the macro level problem solving that, like, I'm doing or, like, a few people at the top are doing to, like, figure out exactly what your guild is doing and your positioning and all that stuff. But, like, probably, like, 70% of all the problem solving that's happening in a raid is actually the individual level problem solving that is never talked about to me or to other people. And it's just our Warlock player figuring out how to best play Warlock on this fight. And that's a constantly evolving process over 400 pulls. And the difference between like the very, very best players at that versus even someone who parses 100 and does really well is like it would be so visually obvious to you if you played with both of them, like the difference in how good someone is at problem solving the right way and the most consistent way to live an entire fight and do the most damage at this level in week 1. I think I've given this example before, but like if you were to look at like THD, for example, versus like any really fucking good Warlock in a top 100 guild, most of them on pull 100 of a like 60 pull boss, meaning you've been on farm for like a month or two, they would look identical, like completely identical. Even like 250 pulls into a 300 pull boss, they might look really similar. You might not notice one dying significantly more than the other, and their damage might be similar. But if you were to just see, like, if you were to really know Warlock and watch a side by side view of how each of them played the first 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 pulls, it would be such a colossal gap to where the only statistics in this game you have to go off of is, I guess, someone's world rank and then like their parses. Like, those two things can look identical, but the actual skill difference between those players can be as big as you could possibly imagine, and you can really only see that by playing with them or like actually like watching both of them side by side and seeing how they're doing. THD is an example of that, because THD always says that he's like, I don't care about problem solving, like, fucking someone will figure it out. Taha, I fucking go to sleep in between pulls. Yo, tell me when we're pull 10. Yo, like that's THD, right? But like what THD doesn't know is that he's completely addicted to problem solving just on a personal level. Like, what he loves about this more than anything else is figuring out himself how he is supposed, or he and other warlocks are supposed to do this fight. He loves it. But the thing is he's the people that are really good at it, that have like that like crazy high human intuition. I don't even think they think about that. It's just like the way they think. They just do it. That's why a lot of people like that actually aren't good teachers, because they haven't really thought about or broke down why they're able to do what they do. They're just so fucking good at it that it's natural and they don't think about it. Dude, is any young Wowhead news? Dude, what's actually even coming out tomorrow, by the way? What is it? It's why elite pro players aren't great coaches a lot of the time. It's the bench players that turn into coaches. I mean, it can be elite players too. Like, you can be an elite player and you became elite by maybe not being like as athletically gifted or whatever as other people, because that's a very real thing. But like, you could just have really studied the game and just being really smart, being a smart player, and also have been great for that reason, or also been athletically gifted. But yeah, you are right that especially in like conventional sports, like, I don't think that would be true of esports, but in like conventional sports, a lot of the like best athletes are also like obviously very smart about the game, but like they're just simply like they were born with something other people don't have, whether that be a mentality or a physical trait that these other professional athletes that have spent their whole lives training for something are just like, they're just literally built different, right? It's so it's not necessarily conducive to good coaching skills. I mean, it's like the Peter principle, right? You work as a salesman for a company for 5 years, and naturally the progression path for that is now you've been promoted to head of sales or as a sales manager. So you got promoted because of your ability to sell things well, but now your new job title is, maybe you're still selling stuff, but you're also managing other salesmen. And there's nothing in your growth as a person to where you've gotten to the point of selling things really well that would show that you're actually good at managing people. It's a completely different skill. But like, that's just the progression path, right? Same thing for like athletes sometimes, is like they get done performing and they're like, my whole life I've been like a performer. So now maybe some of them go do television gigs, some of them go do other stuff, but some want to be coaches. But like, it's not necessarily true that someone who's a really successful player would be a good coach, even though they might find an easier way to get a job. Max, in the last few races when your mics are off, who has provided the most consistent sound strategy advice? Or more specifically, who has surprised you with a strategy that makes you progress more towards more than you thought it would have? You're basically asking who are like some unsung strategy people. I don't know if they're unsung, but let me just like look at our roster and I can tell you who's like usually uh, pretty good at giving input. Because everyone like kind of has different roles. Like Nick is a good example. So Nick is not someone that's ever going to come up with a way to do something, but I and this is why Nick is an officer. He's really really good at like hearing about us doing something and having really good intuition to know if it's going to be good or bad or not. Sometimes he's wrong, but a lot of the times he's right. And he just like listens to it and he's like, I don't know, this sounds like it's going to be bad. And usually I've learned that when he thinks that, he's probably right. And I have to usually figure out why. But like that is actually an interesting input into strategy. Even if it's only like something about that doesn't seem right and you're often correct about that, that's a good skill. It's like, yeah, it's like a quality control guy kind of. But other people, like obviously Zevi, usually when we're on breaks, I sit next to Zevi or Bubba or Scott or someone and just like talk about what we're doing. Like Zevi's really, really smart with stuff like that. As far as, so those are all officers. As far as raiders, Fired Up. Fired Up is usually really good with like, it's not like overall fight stuff. It can be sometimes, but he just like sees things a certain way and he can like mention something that like Ranger specifically going to do. Atlas is actually pretty vocal with how stuff is being done sometimes. Both of our tanks, although they're kind of doing their own thing, but they can find ways to, they're really good at finding ways for tanks to carry the raid. Like if it's like easier for a tank to do a job and like have other people not think, they're good at identifying what those things are and not having me have to do it. Everyone at some general level, I'm just trying to see if there's any like standouts. Oh, Suri as well. Suri definitely more on the healer side, but like Suri is a really, really good healer for us, and we would never want to have, aka the Eagle. I don't think we would ever want to have him be outside the raid, but he's one of the very few people that I think would have a significantly large impact by being outside the raid. Like, I think it's probably harder to find people that would have a real impact while being an outside the raid analyst person than it would be even to find people to raid at the Race World first level. They're both really hard, but like, there's like such a small amount of people that would be effective on the outside, and he's one of them for sure. Anyway, though, I kind of want to look at what's happening in this patch tomorrow. Max, are you getting Boomy off Warrior next race to get him on something more valuable? Warrior's valuable. It's hard to find good Warrior players that aren't stupid. If you play Warrior for too long, you just become dumb. I've seen it happen to everybody. So we might want to have him off Warrior just so that doesn't happen. GeForce. Oh, I think I got a sponsored stream for this today. For some NVIDIA thing. W. I just assumed you'd want him on a harder to play spec. That's not really a thing at this level. The level of play in this guild is so high that, like, okay, so in most classes in the game, there's like, when you're talking about classes that are easier or harder to play, you're talking about at like a floor level. Most classes to master them at this level, Race World first, like defensively and everything else that goes into your class, it's very similar between every, at least DPS spec. I think healing's significantly harder. I think on certain fights, tanking is significantly harder. But there's some differences with that. Like I think playing Enhance in the Race World first is definitely like a step ahead of most classes, right? But we didn't need to Enhance. We could have played that, but Lip could have also played it, but he could have done that. Boomy could have done that. You just needed two Warriors, and he was the person where that made sense, really. So. But yeah, Boomy can play anything. He's one of those people, like, new to the guild, but, I mean, that guy could definitely be the GOAT. He's fucking crazy. He was, like, putting markers down for us all progression and everything, too, in his first raid. Which is, that is really, and I don't mean in between pulls. Like, literally, he was the person, as a melee, putting down markers every single time for consistency in P1 and P3 in Ansarek, mid-pull. Same thing with our Nexus Princess strat, and he died about as little as anyone in the raid. He's fucking crazy. But like, kind of to answer your question, there's not like a oh, these classes are super hard, so our absolute best players need to play them. Like even like the lowest skill in this guild would be like such a high level that you would never even think about that. Max, you do have 22 on ban requests you could go through. Oh shit. You guys actually stopped doing them for me. That is ideal as fuck. We could look at them. Can you pre-screen them to see if there's any slurs or any of them that I can't read on stream? If you can do that and just weed those out beforehand, I can go through the rest of them. Max, it did seem that warriors overall died more this raid across Race World First Guild's overall thoughts. I don't know if that's true. Riku had like a bad hour during like the very last day with 1 million viewers, so like everyone saw it. But like that happens to everyone, and if you know there's 100,000 people watching, you could also like mental boom for a bit. But like that happened to other really good players on other days, and then like you just don't even notice it because less people are focusing on those pulls because you're not close to killing it. I'm not sure, and I'm completely unfamiliar if like warriors and other guilds were dying significant. I don't even think Riku was like one of our top deaths on Ansarek. I just think he had a bad moment at like a very visible time. Oh yeah, they died on Brood Twister from Threat a lot, which was actually really annoying, and that's one of those moments where I actually just think like that's bad game design. Like if your tanks, like our tanks, Yips and Scott are fucking insane. Like they are so fucking good. And I know that they are not misplaying when people die to getting Threat on Brood Twister. It's just not what's happening. And if a DPS is pulling aggro off of a tank, something, and it's those two tanks, something, and it's consistent, something is wrong. It is not, it is like something is wrong with the game, right? Because like you could say, oh, DPS just have to wait. Bro, original Brood Twister, no, they fucking couldn't. You were on a clock. You had to kill them instantly, right? Tanks are doing damage right away, but like sometimes if you just like don't crit on certain mobs, the tank and like DPS turbo crit on them, they'll just pull aggro and die. Do you want me to clear out the ASCII bans? No, we can look at the well, actually, yeah, some of the ASCII stuff is bad. I don't know. Probably leave the birds. What is it? Okay between Yips and Scott. No flame to Scott, but Yips seems cracked very good. Scott is every bit as good as Yips is. That is insane slander. What would even just make you make that up? Like, how could you even know that? That's crazy. Just fucking just say shit. He probably watches Yip's stream. Yeah, it's like the streamer buff. Or like he pushes Mythic Plus. Makes sense. Alright. Let's do some unban requests. That could be fun. I don't know how to do this. I think you have to go to my own channel, I think. And then you go to mod view. Right? Mod view. And then unban requests. Pop out. All right, let's get it. Okay, here we go. So we have a guy named Rubang73. He was banned September, which is like during the race. Let's look at his other chats. Looks like majorly a race viewer. He like was chatting during a Mirdrasil, and his next message wasn't until Nerebar Palace. Fellwood, yes, overhyped again. Fellwood, Kalamazi, let's go. I liked the long beard though. Fuck, yo, that Shroud, finally. My Brewmaster would win this. What a throw. I wonder what he's talking about. What could have happened near the end of this race that someone could be like, what a throw? Because we won, right? So it wouldn't be. I'm going to guess it was Atlas fat fingering A-bombs limb. Because that was like, there's a lot of things that happen like that during a race, but that one specifically was one that a lot of viewers like really latched onto. This happened in a Mirdrasil too with the Nick like keybind extra action button thing, where it's like almost nothing and then it just like becomes this thing. Mods overreacted. I'll give them an unban. I think they probably did. Like, I think when you look at it individually, it's not that bad. But like, you have to keep in mind if you were to see everything else that's happening at this point, they're just seeing a lot of negativity thrown towards a certain player by people who don't know this person and stuff like that. And I think a lot of those people, you look like kind of an asshole, so you just get thrown in. But I'll give them the unban. All good. No note either. Okay, so this was in a Mirdrasil. Let's get some... Really? That's being deleted. I have 3 adult children. They asked what I wanted for Mother's Day. I said to watch Max and the guy win Race World first. Hope to see it. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms. Why did they get timed out? Echo eating. Did they boost Shroud through dungeons? How did Shroud get back? Oh, that was like during Diablo 4. Easier to blame others than to reflect on what could have been done. When was that? 7/11/2023. That was Aberrus. Interesting. Be rude not to, mate. Can you zoom? Oh, I probably can, yeah. My bad. Best race of all time in Mirdrasil. Unlucky Yanks. Maybe more advantages you can win next time. Oh, yeah. Speaking of advantages during a Mirdrasil. All right. This is just ChatGPT, right? I've been reflecting on my actions recently, and I realized that I owe you a sincere apology. I acted in a way that was wrong, and more than that, immature. There's literally no fucking way. I didn't fully consider how my words or actions might have hurt you, and for that, I'm truly sorry. Looking back, I can see where I went wrong. I made decisions without thinking through the consequences. And I didn't show the respect or understanding you deserve. I recognize that it wasn't fair to you, and I deeply regret causing you pain. Oh. Plug in the deny message into ChatGPT. Dude. Can I admit something, but you guys can't make fun of me in any way? I've never used ChatGPT or any kind of AI writing thing or AI anything ever. I don't even know how to do that. I don't even know what I would do. Like, you're asking me to get ChatGPT, like I'm assuming it's probably an app or like you can like look it up. It's because I'm not in school, because I can almost assure you that if everyone was ChatGPTing all of their papers like I've heard is happening, I probably would have, but I just have no reason to use it. But this is the first time I've ever read something that has been sent to me that I thought was clearly done by ChatGPT. But this was done to the point where I'm pretty sure this person... I kind of want to unban this person because I don't think they sent this in ChatGPT like thinking that I wouldn't know. It's almost like it's so ChatGPT that it's a bit. You know, and that's a pretty fucking funny bit. I laughed at this whole thing. That's hilarious. Right? I'm unbanning. I'm unbanning for the bit. Okay, what happened? So this is 9/19/24, very beginning of the race. I think. Okay. I think they're waiting for Gear to do the next boss. No, he's not muted. I can't. Did they finish the raid? Feel like they should get rid of this mage and add a demon hunter. The mage seems really newbie. Okay, yeah, so just classic ban slandering players and my mods not liking it. W mods. Why demon hunter specifically? I like to be a little silly during the race to world first sometimes. But I realized my last message was really too far. I looked at the raid frames and I didn't see a DH, so I assumed the DH was bad right now. Plus, Fired Up was doing like top 3 DPS on that pull, so it felt like it was a harmless way to get someone to flame me. But I realized that after that there was a DH DPS, but also more importantly, Fired Up is a real person. And it was really shitty of me to flame someone directly, especially during an already stressful situation for them, so I'm very sorry. Oh, that's so sweet. I mean, dude, low-key, it sounds like a bit, but I do think a lot of people, when they're, like, slandering people on the internet and then they see it, they are definitely not treating them like a real person. Like, have you ever seen a Twitter interaction where, like, someone who's decently well-known or, like, with a lot of following there'll just be someone at the bottom of the comment section that person read, and you only focus on negative things as a human, and then they're like, yo, this guy fucking sucks. I hate this guy. And then that person responds to their tweet, and they're like, why do you feel this way? And then they're immediately like, I didn't mean it, man. You're really cool. I don't know why I said that. And it's like, as soon as they acknowledge that, like, it actually is a real person just read that person instantly has empathy and realizes they were being an asshole, right? That's kind of what this person is saying, but also just the way they said this was so funny. I just assumed DH was bad right now, but then I realized Fired Up's actually a real person. Unbanned. Oh, wait, was there other mod comments? Oh, shit. Oh, well, I might have just unbanned a criminal. Let's see. I like this channel. I was just joking around and laughing. I am sorry. All he did was get banned for laughing. Wait. So, 928, this was during the last day. Lol, yikes, Lamau. You were here for another poll. Lamau. And then lol, and he got banned. But yeah, Villavine's a fucking comment screen, not a felonious individual. Okay. Yeah, Villavine, he takes people the fuck out. Unbanned. Nice laugh. They had 9 hours more time. Just stated that Liquid had 9 more hours more than the rest of the world, but in the end, they just won with even more hours compared to other guilds with no bad intention involved. Yeah, this is one of those things where, like, they could have just been responding to someone, but also, like, it's unfortunate that anytime you mention any kind of release difference in the race, you could be making a point and, like, trying to have people in the chat understand you, but you just look like it is impossible to distinguish that from the most insufferable person you've ever met. It's like one of those things where, like, someone communicating over text, it just doesn't, it's, like, hard to tell, you know? But also we didn't. You know? I think by the end of the race, this was after the race was over, this raid we started, so the release difference is 12 hours. I forget how long we had of maintenance, but I think, was it 10 hours? It was 5 hours the first week, or maybe 4 hours, and the second week was 5 hours. I think it was something, it added up to 10. So even if you wanted to make the argument that by starting ahead naturally, like, things don't just even up eventually because of, like, the information traded, like, let's just say you wanted to use that argument, you could only argue that we had, like, a 2-hour advantage this race at all. But I think a lot of people know that, but they just still, it's like a coping mechanism, right? I think we won by so much this race that no one could even bring that up. But even if it was a lot closer, it still would have been a clear victory. But I know a lot of you fans don't want to hear that. What do you guys think? What do you guys think, chat? Do we purge this person of their sins? I think they're fine. They seem. You can tell in the way people are acting here. Because also, it is. You know what else is possible, guys? It is possible that someone did actually mean the most, like, weird, sinister shit ever, and then they change as a person and they realize that was stupid and they're not lying. Sometimes they are, but I would like to think that most people that would take the time to actually write a request are usually like, yeah, I get that was kind of weird. Let's see. So this was Amir Drasil. And this person said, so before this point, they've had pretty normal comments. Wonder how many people will come back for 8.2. So more nerfs is coming. Embrace the second place as Echo wins as champions. Heart, heart. I mean, that seems pretty. Again, it's one of those things where it could just be so toxic, but also could just be so not normal, you know? And then someone said, "Why'd you say that?" And they said, "Because I could." And then they just got taken the fuck out. And then they said, "I don't even understand how I could be banned." Okay, that's probably a deny. You can't even like read the room a little bit. You can't even just like look at other messages and be like, "I don't even understand how that could have happened." I also don't really care that too. Let's just unban him, dude. This person probably doesn't deserve to be unbanned, but let's just give him I'm in a good mood. Give him a second chance. Let's see. This person's all there. Wait, okay. Oh, this guy. So this was during my Indiana. No, this was a different thing. We were doing a sponsored stream thing, and it was like, have you ever been invited? Oh yeah, this person. I remember this person types a lot, and they're definitely like a really toxic person. Saying this person's a clown. The balance team is trash. Period. Drogo groomed my little... Yeah, this is just a weirdo, right? We won't be watching the sponsor stream, bro, but we're glad our normal viewership gets you paid for it. I mean, that's a pretty normal message. Wait, I banned them. Now, I told you before I even read that I banned him or it was based on this thing. I just remember seeing this person saying the absolute most crazy shit. I don't know. And his message is, "I deserve to be unbanned." Yeah, I don't like the randomly accusing people of being groomers thing. I'm going to go with a deny. The energy there is pretty tough, right? Oh, we got ASCII stuff that I'm terrified to make the window smaller to see what it is. Okay, this looks like a face. Okay. Spamming a face. It's George Floyd. Oh, it does look like George Floyd. Okay. That's not necessarily bad on itself, right? You're not... Okay, what... Everyone was spamming ASCII memes. Sorry, this one was a bit untasteful. My apologies, won't happen again. Let's see, did they do anything else weird? Let's look at their previous chats. No way you can time. Last boss is 5 to 6 minutes. Do you lose a lot of damage a single turret if you move over inertia? Okay, during playing Havoc. Tactical POV raid leading slot. Probably making fun of me for dying. What about Holanders, though? Epic Gamer confirm. Rashok should eat some artichoke. What are your thoughts on them? They seem like a normal person that was just people were spamming ASCIIs. That we're fine. What? Oh, this was a fired up thing. Spell slinger, right? Slinging spells. I was like, why the fuck would they have been banned? I'm pretty sure it was just like, yeah, like we had someone from another team like send a like hate brigade on one of our players, so pretty much anyone saying anything regarding that was instantly getting banned. For sure. But yeah, we can hit you with a meme. We can hit you with an unban. It's fine. Oh god. What is it? Oh, it's just an Among Us cock. Okay. Free me from my prison. I'm sorry I posted this Among Us penis. I promise not to do it again. Yeah, all good, buddy. Just don't do that. I've been following for years and I got banned for a joke. Okay, Haunted banned you, and Haunted is a real one, buddy. When they say press macros, what's in the macro? Oh, wow. What a crazy... This was during a Myrdrasil, and this person randomly typing this in my chat, this message aged absolutely crazy. Okay. Is this guy acoustic? Okay, so getting some bad vibes from this chatter. And then they come in on the hate brigade, and they're trying to get mad at Fired Up. I don't like anyone doing that. I'm going for a quick little deny. Let's see. A lot of messages. Banned by me. So many yappers in the chat with no idea how to get a world first. Yeah, probably also you. What the fuck do you know? Okay, caught. They also fixed the mage trick. This is in October of... Okay, so this is after the race is over. Y'all literally quit Jailer and went home. He was too hard. Wait, why isn't it showing the end of it? Oh, it's like it doesn't scroll down far enough. Too hard for world 5th. Oh, yeah, fuck you, buddy. He said I'm sorry, though. I'll ban him. He's sorry. Okay, that... Please unban me, I'm dumb. Okay, that's fine. Just don't... Stop posting ASCII stuff, man. Zorg. Crazy Max is watching the guy bug abuse and not someone else. Bug. Timed out Zorg. There's no way. Ha 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 ha. Nice POV switch. Twitter police wins again. Good job, team. Oh, that's fine. I mean, they were definitely like it's kind of hard to distinguish who were the like group of people that were just sent by the opposing team deliberately to hate on one of our players, right? Similar to like the Anduin thing. Versus someone that's just like aware of the situation and wants to hear someone address it. I don't think this is there's some weird vibes here for sure, but let's look at the other stuff. Let's see. I came for tier list. So you're not doing a tier list? I'm unfollowing. Respectable. Gotta get renowned up at... Okay, so you just didn't unfollow. You stayed for the whole stream, buddy. Blood DK meta, they smoking. Sandbagging. Not my fault. Chat full of donkeys. That's what she said. Actually, one guy. Maybe it's the red class doing 10% more than... I mean, this is fine, right? Oh, suspicious user shared ban info. Where are you banned by? I mean, wait. Me, right? Unless it's... Oh, they're also banned in I'm Fired Up's channel. All right, that's a zero tolerance policy. If you get banned in Fired Up's channel and you're not Hopeful, who I think just gets banned based on channel point redeems, that means you've done something extremely bad. Okay. OTK, dude, I need Amaranth to step on me. Florida has passed laws to make it not as bad, though. Cali is horrible. Yeah, it's abused. Asian Andy's squatter video is amazing. Great content. Actual brain-dead squatter in chat. She has anxiety, doesn't leave the... What the fuck could this person have been talking about? What were we talking about? Squatters on stream? She has anxiety, doesn't leave the house. They're so boring. Dead content. Horrible execution. And then they were timed out, and then this person just banned them 20 minutes later with no mod comments. Kamala sent the hurricane. I mean, look at the messages. Like, this is just... Yeah, this is... Yeah, the vibes are not awesome, right? Yeah, let's see what his message is. I have no idea why I've been... Oh, of course. I was talking about delves in my last 3 messages. Please unban me to have fun memeing with chat. Max is a great podcast. Can they still listen to my great podcast if I deny them? How does getting banned on Twitch work nowadays? Like, can you just not watch someone's stream? I mean, obviously you could like make a new account. Think chat just isn't visible? I don't know, this guy kind of sucks. I feel like unfortunate. Dazer loving the floor POV as per usual. Deleted by Diazonite. Yeah, so I just look like we're all putting in a ton of effort into this, and every single one of our players dies on progression. It's a thing. You just keep doing a boss until you can all do it. And I just have absolutely no tolerance for random people in my Twitch chat that could never play any game remotely as good as what the players in this guild are playing them as, and then seeing you talk shit to them. And then them potentially ever reading that. I just don't have any tolerance for it. Please unban, it was a joke. Well, no one's laughing, right? I don't know. Whatever. I'll unban you, but just don't act like that. Alright. Yep. Makes sense. Nice little question mark. Is this sponsor World Boss at 50? 20s or 500k? Why do you keep talking over your opponent? What could this have been about? In March 21st, 2024. March of this year? Why would someone have ever typed, why do you keep talking over your opponent? When you did a chat with Echo? That was so far removed from a race, though. That was like an MDI co-stream? Maybe, yeah. Was it the Plunderstorm event? But I wouldn't have been talking with my opponents. Plunder launched 10 days after this. Oh, interesting. Maybe it was like an MDI thing. I don't know. Anyways, is Fired Up still cheating or did they nerf him cheating? Yeah, get the fuck out of here. No mod comments. Yeah, get out of here. I mean... yeah, whatever. I'm feeling charitable today. Diaz banned argument derailer. What did you even do? There's a mod comment. Oh! This guy has like 30 alts apparently. We keep finding more. Don't unban any of Anhack 96, Aceboy 50, Ace 50. That's him? Do you guys know the story of this guy? Have I told you the story of this guy? I'm almost positive it's him, but... okay, well, I haven't seen a lot of his messages, but... okay, fun little side story. I can't believe this is actually this guy and that my mods found out, but... okay, so I've been streaming for a really long time. I didn't start full-time streaming until 2019 in the fall. But I had streamed for probably 6 or 7 years very infrequently, like probably on average, like maybe once every 2 months over that period of time. Just barely streaming was nothing. It was not a career. It wasn't even like a hobby. I just like played WoW a lot and sometimes I streamed it. This guy was a mod on my channel and I had like, I guess people knew me from doing challenge modes with killers back then and like a couple people followed me and I don't know. So he was my mod, one of my only mods for a really long time. I think he was like my main mod. And I just remember one day we were like playing Battlefield and like he was in our group and like I kind of got like some vibes like, okay, this isn't going to be super relatable, but like something that happens when you go to conventions sometimes is like a bunch of people come up to you and they want to say hi to you, take a picture, and then you take the time with them to like, you know, that moment's important to them, so you like take the time. But then they like take their picture, they say like what's up, and then they go on with their day, and that's the normal thing to do, right? But sometimes people like stick around in the circle and try to like become part of your group for the day, and they just don't leave. Right? So like kind of like a not reading the room vibe, kind of some not awesome, right? Okay, this was the version of that, but like on the internet. So like we were playing Battlefield and like he was part of the group, but like we just didn't kind of want to play with him. He was like just found our way into our group and didn't really like it. I don't really know, like maybe he felt like we were kind of like trying to distance ourselves from it a little bit. And I wake up one day and no one's talking in my chat and I had no idea why. And there was just I like none of my, and then someone messaged me, they're like, dude, I'm like banned in your chat. And I went and looked at my history and this guy just like had a meltdown. His name was Anhack 96 at the time. And he banned like everyone that's ever been in my stream, like all of my friends, all of my consistent chatters. He just did that and it was so fucking weird. And then I obviously just like made him not a mod. And honestly, guys, I have not thought about this guy for like 8 years, but apparently my mods somehow found out that this was him making all these alts, which is really crazy and kind of creepy to me because I've like definitely had conversations with these people over the years and I had no idea it was him, which is like kind of like some weird shit.
But yeah, so definitely keep him banned. What was his comment? I know an apology probably won't help make anyone less annoyed with the stupid behavior, but please know that no harm was ever meant. I genuinely enjoy watching the stream and want to be part of the chat again. I mean, think that's just not a good situation. Okay, so that's a wild name to apologize with. Yeah, why that specific burner? Doing normal splits. Damn, Echo closing in on a kill. This is the beginning of like last race, helping the boys while at Harvard. James, and you get paid 1 mil a year to do that. I can't. The ego on this guy is insane. I can't. You got money. You're good. Why is he? What? Echo is 5 out of 8. Come on, boys. Sure. Muting on a boss Echo is almost killing. I can't. What? Was Echo ever almost killing a boss that we were on and we were muting? I think we were like kind of ahead the whole time, right? Brood? I mean, even then, it's just. Let's see this other stuff. Let's see. EU down, losing to Method lol. It's go time. EU down. Haha. Fuck EU. Oh wait, so they're NA. What is happening right now? But now they're. Are they just an agent of chaos? I like this. ID killed Jiller before you guys, and they did half the splits. I can't. And then he says schizo viewers, as if that's not you. Weird band, to be honest. How long have you been watching? 6 timeouts, 1 ban. Well, I'll ban him. He just doesn't want us to mute. I respect that. Okay. Did they ever make Warrior not feel like a... Oh, wait. First of all, so he... Oh, the account was created like this year, and it's called Twitch Smurf Account 420. So it's a burner. Like, you don't make this account. It's clearly a burner. You do this because you got banned, at least in someone's channel. So you just... And they were banned by me. Okay. That's interesting. So let's see. They do... Did they ever make the Warrior class not feel like shit to play in this game? I only played on launch for the same reason most people did. No, it was not. Everyone was playing Assassin and doing infinite damage, and the Wizard was doing infinite damage and being invulnerable the whole time. What are they talking about? Okay, I'll talk to somebody else. Fuck you too, buddy. Bro, I haven't played this since launch like everyone else because this game is ass. Enjoy playing your dead game that everyone quit after day 3. Oh, just like a... I mean... Oh, was it Tar Island? No, this was that Tar Island was before the race. Probably D4. I think they're talking about WoW. Because like he said something about did they ever make the Warrior class not feel like shit to play in this game? I'm assuming they're talking about because that would be Barb if it was D4. It could have been Terra's Land, but was it Throne and Liberty? I'd never played Throne and Liberty. And yeah. You were streaming after midnight, Max. 100% was Diablo 4. Oh, yeah, maybe you're right. I only played launch, but for the same reason most people did. What is that? Because you wanted to play the game? Is that like the disqualifying thing? Everyone's playing Assassin, infinite damage, Wizard, infinite damage, being invulnerable the whole time. He said Assassin and Wizard, but aren't those all wrong class names? So he meant to say Barb, Rogue, and Sork, but instead he said Warrior, Assassin, and Wizard. So, like, he could be talking about D4, and I guess his bit is that he doesn't say any of the class names right. That's a pretty good bit. You call casters and WoW wizards? Well, they are. Good point, though. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like the vibes are kind of bad, you know? That vibes are not awesome here. Burner account. Getting in arguments with people. Was being unnecessarily rude. And he pissed me off. But everyone does get pissed off every now and then. I'll unban him. Fuck it. What's the worst that happens? Someone has to ban him again. Wait, what the fuck happened? What the fuck is this message? Europe is still a dog shit continent and they have to live in squalor. Who really... What? And then Kesu denied your unban request. That's pretty interesting. And then Diaz banned you again somehow. I don't even know how did you get banned again? You never got unbanned. You're fucking double banned. Okay, honestly, didn't remember I said something this wild last year. That is very regrettable. I apologize and won't happen again. Been a sub for a long time. Would appreciate a second chance. Well, if you're giving me money. All right. Sounds good. Hello, I should not have posted ASCII art, and I just got caught up in the hype for Race to World First. I apologize. What is it? Is it a... What is that? It looks like a Hydra, but it's... Is that someone's face on the end? That's not a Hydra. I've seen a Hydra many times. That's not the Hydra. It's Gotchi Hydra? What is the... How do you guys know the fucking difference? Alright, I'll unban you. Just don't do that again. Oh, that got so annoying. Lurker about 99% of the time was meaning during Storm, got unbanned and rebanned a couple times, and I was able to submit a request on stream, got denied off stream. I'll go back to full-time lurking. Yeah, I just hated it. Okay, so we were both in that tournament and during our games. Like, Trill and I were fucking owning. We had, like, good communication. I had a ton of kills. I was playing great. And it was so fucking annoying to see, like, Trill glazers just in my chat. Every single time I would carry a game, they wouldn't say shit, and every time, like, I would die and Trill would kill some people, he'd just be like, yo, fucking, you are so fucking boosted. I'm just like, dude, it's just so annoying to read that shit. Not even happening. A second unban request has hit the Discord. A third unban request has hit the Discord. Well, I mean, I feel like, was their previous unban request, like, crazy or something? Because this seems pretty realistic. They're like, I'm a lurker, but I said some weird shit and I got banned for it, and I wanted to be unbanned. Why did they get unbanned? Why did they get... I personally denied their unban request. And then they just keep doing it. I denied it myself after Kesu denied it. The vibes might have been worse last time. But hey, if they kept on sending salty unban requests and then they eventually sent a normal person, that could be a sign that they changed. I'm unbanning, chat. Let's go. All right, that's all the requests, baby. Guys, what comes out tomorrow? What comes out? Wait, what is this? What if Mythic Plus used deaths instead of a timer? In a new survey, Blizzard is asking players what they think about using a limited death counter instead of a timer in Mythic Plus. We've received multiple reports from players receiving a Blizzard survey asking for their feedback on current season Mythic Plus. So I don't think this would be a very good idea. But I understand why it exists. There's a lot of WoW players, especially like OG WoW players that... And there's just a lot of MMO players that just hate the idea of a timer. Like, a timer could make every bit of sense in a design of a game mode, but it just... The timer in general just gives people a lot of anxiety, and it makes them shy away from the content just at its sheer existence, regardless of its impact. I learned this a lot in Final Fantasy when I was asking them when I was playing that game, like, do you guys want Mythic Plus? And you kind of have to sift through opinions in that game, because a lot of them are just so like anti-WoW for some reason, like game tribalists, that they're just like anything WoW has we don't have, even though like kind of like a well-executed Mythic Plus and any MMO would be like way fucking better than whatever dungeons they have. But they're like, we want Mythic Plus, but we just don't want the timer. The timer is stressful. We don't want the timer. So like the timer is like a huge thing, I think, that pushes people off of the mode. But the first thing I think of as far as like actually trying to get more people to do it is, isn't a high level Mythic Plus like, don't you just... Okay, so trying to poke holes in this. Let's say you want to time a like 20, but there's no timer. So you just wait for lust before literally every single pull, and you just pull one pack at a time to be able to do it. That sounds extremely boring. Like, but that's also high level stuff. Like, when you look at Blizzard making macro changes to Mythic Plus, you could have two different versions. Right now, you have, for the first time ever, they've designed high keys for high key players and the rest of Mythic Plus for everyone else. So like high key pushing could still be timer based where it would make sense, but like I think what Blizzard really cares about is getting everything up until getting portals. So like getting to the level where you can farm gilded crests and then continuing up that road and then finishing the portals eventually and getting like Keystone Master or whatever the Keystone Hero, I don't know what it's called. So basically you have to ask yourself, don't think about high keys, because I don't think in high keys this would ever make sense, but I wonder if they're thinking about it for just going up to 10s. It still sounds like it would need some cooking to not have it just be really slow, but I could actually see a lot of... You'd be surprised, man. Like, even if it's not better gameplay, there's like a lot of people that would just enjoy doing dungeons when they're not being timed. The consideration is for the majority of the population. Yeah, which also like makes sense. But I still don't know if it's better for them. I just think it makes... I think if you were to think of like why removing a timer from Mythic Plus would be bad, the first thing I would point at is like how high keys work. That would be the biggest impact. And I just don't think you would have to change high keys at all. They've clearly shown that you can kind of just have them be different things. You ever just go back to your own messages and think, what the fuck was I talking about? Because I just did that and I can't understand how some of these unbanned people now. Yeah. Combo this with other add-on bonuses, extra mini boss, time attack, low death count that add rewards. I mean, regardless, I think Blizzard continuing to heavily cook. The fact that they're putting this in a survey means that they're not just like staying stagnant with Mythic Plus and they're trying to find ways to improve it. I think as long as that is their goal, I think that has to be a W if you're a Mythic Plus player, right? Like I don't think it's necessarily out of the realm of possibility that they could do something pretty drastic like this and it end up being better for a lot of players. I just don't know if it's specifically that, because it's just so hard to imagine. Because like when they're asking it in a survey, a lot of times they might have an idea for how that works, but they're not actually laying that out like an actual patch note or a blue post. They're showing you the general idea, but I bet they already have some thoughts as to like what they could change about the mode to accommodate that, to make some of those issues that we've had. Like you're basically, when you hear about them removing the timer, you're like, okay, what if we just did Mythic Plus as it is right now, but just the timer is gone and there's a death limit? You can just poke so many holes in it, but a lot of those holes might have already been filled by if they actually want to do this and they're just trying to get a general idea, because it's a fucking survey, right? Who knows? But if you're Blizzard, I understand why you're messing with that. Because timers truly, for you guys who are not like super in tune with the like more casual WoW community, the idea of timers in content is a very, very big thing that is really not liked. What is your stance on key degradation for failing to time? I haven't heard any of my friends say they enjoy it, but it persists. I think the idea behind key depletion is that you don't just basically treat Mythic Plus like a raid boss. Like, I remember speaking to Dorky about why he doesn't like, why he enjoys raiding on certain bosses, but then, like, once you get to a boss where you're spending multiple nights on the same boss, he gets bored because he's spending like 3 to 4 hours just doing the same thing. And I was thinking about why that is, because those bosses are actually usually better than the other bosses. It's just that he, and I think a lot of Mythic Plus players, and maybe gamers in general, just like a little variety in a 3 to 4 hour gaming session. It would be like playing Valorant for 4 hours on the same map, or playing Marvel Rivals and you only get the same map instead of variety. Like, variety is great, right? And one thing depletion does is in a 3 to 4 hour key session, you are kind of naturally forced to go and like level up some other keys, and you're zoning into new environments, different aesthetics, different thought processes for different pulls, different routes. And it's kind of a lot of it, especially within a group dynamic, like you're talking to each other like at a really high level. It's kind of just interesting because it's never the same. Now, if you remove depletion, you could maybe put like cooldowns on dungeons. There's ways to solve this, but just at a basic level, just like why does depletion exist? Because I think for a lot of people, Mythic Plus would just be like, instead of going between 4 or 5 different dungeons over 3 hours or so, you might just keep pulling the same dungeon on the same key level until you get it right, and then it could turn something that usually gives a lot of natural built-in variety, and it just becomes like you're pulling a raid boss over and over again, kind of like MDI practice. Now, I've heard people advocate that that's actually something they want. Like, JB wants that. I actually, not gonna lie, I've done the MDI a few times, and I really fucking loved that. It was actually really fun. But I don't think most players would like that. And I think a lot of people who do high keys all season kind of, whether they realize it or not, kind of look forward to the variety. And also, like, a kind of a super hot take I have is part of the reason Mythic Plus kind of seems stagnant this season is, I think, I'm not positive about this, and this is just my opinion, I think that the affixes were not good, but they at least had the weeks feel different, to where like you logged in and there was at least somewhat of a new challenge to overcome, and there was at least weeks you could look forward to. Like, push weeks, while push weeks by default mean that there are weeks that aren't push weeks that feel worse, having a week where like everyone's gaming and trying to push is kind of like an event. You're like making an event on accident, and that was cool. An example of this is like Dratnos and Tettles a couple expansions ago like streamed a watch party of like everyone doing a push week, and it was like crazy good content with a ton of viewers, because like it is a time when everyone's doing it. And the fact that it's always the same at high keys does mean that every week's a push week, but I also think that it does lack a little variety, and maybe subconsciously even, again, I haven't even done this is purely speculation, but like maybe that is part of what had people log off this season earlier in that community. But then also, like, I don't know the solution to it, because when we talked about this on the podcast, multiple people, Megaset and Dorky especially, doing a lot of high keys, both mentioned how like every time they delve back, I didn't mean to use the word delve, like every time they go from under a 12 back to an 11 for any reason, they just get those affixes and they realize how much better it is to not have affixes in the higher keys, which directly disproves my entire theory, right? So I guess the only way that what my theory is could be correct is if it's actually subconscious. Like, when you see the affix, you're like, I have to deal with the affix, but subconsciously dealing with different ones at least makes what you're doing a little more interesting, because it's just different.
Dude, I liked a tweet earlier. Well, two. I don't know why, but someone tweeted updated Jordan Love career numbers, and they mentioned during Toyotathon and not during Toyotathon, which I don't know, just shit like that is extremely funny. But I also just saw this. This is the most true. It's just simply true. Also, I want to say I've been on this shit for so long, but it's just simply so true.
Just when you get to that point in the season and you can log off, and then but also you like look forward to season 2 because you've had enough time away from it. That's the shit, man. That's that good shit. So true, but you don't let your raiders do it. Well, our raiders can't do it. Unfortunately, what we want to do requires us to do that. But also, they're doing the same thing outside of 1 to 2 days a week for raid clears, right? But I do like the Toyotathon stats. Like, in a way, if you're, like, later into the season, but you still have affixes, you're like, yeah, this is a shit week, but, man, I could get some good loot for the next time there's a push week. And you're, like, looking forward to an event. And it was created by complete accident because they probably wish that the affixes were balanced and there weren't push weeks. But, like, there is something... I think there's something in the psychology of a Mythic Plus player when there was affixes where there was at least something to look forward to. There was a time when you could just, like, fucking just game. And this is where you were going to get all your score. And that not existing, I think, sucks. But the weird thing is, to make that exist, you have to, like, by default, you have to create weeks that aren't as good, which is just sounds bad, but yeah. Do professional raiders get to write the WoW sub off of their taxes as a business expense? That is... I believe the answer to that is yes. So I don't deal with any of that shit myself. I have a guy that does that, but I believe as in like an independent contractor, streamer, content creator, video game pro guy, I'm pretty sure you can like finagle your way around taxes to like pretty much write off any video game expense as a business expense. Or at least that is what's done in the industry. Don't ask me, though. What about the Brutosaur? Yeah, that as well. I think it's like includes microtransactions. And I guess the reason why is like if you're a video game content creator, man, you could make the argument that like you bought the Brutosaur so you could do a review on it, whether it's on your stream or a YouTube video, but like you are accessing this content so you can create content for other people with it, even if you don't. But that probably only really matters if you had to like prove that by getting audited. Or do what Dratnos says, which is just don't pay taxes as a streamer. If you, that's apparently pretty W shit. You just want to do that. Absolutely love it. It's a fake job, so you don't actually have to pay taxes. Yeah. It does feel fake sometimes. I'll tell you when my job actually feels fake. So, like... Okay, like a day like today, I'm just sitting here and yapping, and I'm lucky enough that there's enough people here to yap back at me to where I have infinite content, right? But when I'm done with a day like this, I do feel like drained-ish because I'm just like in an active conversation with a bunch of people. It's not like you're in a room and everyone's talking for a few hours. It's like you're in a room and everyone's listening to you, so you just have to be like all the way on, I guess. And that is somewhat draining. Not to say that other jobs aren't or my job's harder. I would just say it feels like a job. But on days where it doesn't feel like a job is when you get a sponsored stream to play a game you want to play. Or like the other day, like co-streaming the Stream Awards or the Game Awards, or like anytime you're getting paid like an extra lump sum to just do something you would have done anyway, that's when this job feels like absolutely insane. Just super cracked. And also, after Race to World First, when my agent like almost certainly tricks all of these companies into thinking that my viewership is that way all the time, and my sponsor deals around then are always like way bigger. That's fucking sweet too. That feels like cheating. Fucking love tricking people. Game Awards co-stream went hard. You know what's still the craziest thing about the Game Awards? That like AI cat game. how did that even happen? It's like, from the looks of it, it's like 100% a scam. But like, how did it get there? Money? Well, I mean, okay, yeah, they like purchased the spot, but like, is that not vetted at all? Like, isn't it kind of on the Game Awards to like make sure there isn't people just like advertising scams on your show? Yeah, Pokey took down her tweet advertising it. Wild it got that far. Yeah. One second. I'm gonna go put some food in the oven. Be right back. By the oven, I mean the microwave oven, by the way. I'm just keeping it a buck. Yo, chat. I might be going go-karting tomorrow. Doesn't that sound fun? I haven't done that in so long. That sounds fucking sick. Dangerous? Yeah, I'm a dangerous man, you know? Are you going to a 12-year-old's birthday? Bro, adults can just go go-karting, you know? Bro, I haven't like gone go-karting in forever, but I was thinking like kind of bumper cars initially. But I'm pretty sure like real go-karting, you're like definitely not supposed to like take people out. I mean, that's like really not good. No one can stop you. Like, well, yeah, once I'm in the car, I'm in control. You know? Bumper cars as an adult equals neck hates you for a week. Yo, I got a crazy strong neck though. That sounds weird, but it's true. It's from hockey. You like when you play hockey a lot, you're constantly moving your head around and scanning. I remember when I started playing again, it was permanently sore until it like got stronger. So I got that neck strength. You feel me? I got crazy neck. That's an insane thing to say. All good though. I'm gonna play some laser tag after. Dude, okay. Getting chirped in YouTube chat, that's insane. Okay, first of all, playing laser tag as an adult would also go insane.
Like, you're saying that like it's a joke, but like that would go fucking crazy. Holy fuck, playing laser tag sounds fun. Laser tag is so mid. You know what I've never done that I bet would be fun? Paintball. I bet like playing paintball would be pretty fun. I never did it as a kid. I played airsoft like one time, which is like kind of the same idea, but um you know what I could have done? I'm actually so sad I missed this. It was either Azale or Captain Flower's birthday. Let me check my Twitter DMs. They were both there. It was one of their birthdays. Okay, it was Azale's birthday. You guys know the former WoW world champion, and he's now an LCS or just a league caster in general. He invited me to his birthday. I think it was last year, and what he wanted to do for his birthday was he just brought a bunch of his friends out to just play paintball. And I couldn't go. I was busy. But I wanted to go so bad, and that sounded like a crazy vibe. And I wish that I was not busy and I could have gone to that. That would have been so fucking fun. I've never done it before, so I'd probably just be clueless, but I don't know. It would just be a blast. God, I actually wish I would have went to that, man. What is it? Real talk, I got a concussion playing laser tag as a kid because the laser tag attendant person opened a door into my face while I was running around. Yeah, and unfortunate for you, anytime you go to any of those facilities, I'm pretty sure they make you sign a waiver that basically says no matter what happens to you here, it's not our fault. So I'm pretty sure that person never got in trouble, and if you wanted to, you probably couldn't sue them for it. That's like the best. By the way, is that stuff like enforceable? Like, you know how people like there's like non-competes in a bunch of like contracts, but like that is like one of the most unenforceable things ever. It's just there to scare you most of the time. But are waivers like actually real? Like if you signed a waiver that was like I shouldn't get hurt here, but then like you get hurt and it's totally the company's fault for having bad equipment, could you still sue them and get away with it if it was like an egregious case? Like basically is an egregious case of incompetence, does that supersede you having signed a waiver? Or are waivers like actually some ironclad shit? Dude, why am I? There's no way any of you know this. Like maybe one does, but the amount of people that are going to confidently make something up is going to make the actual person that knows what they're talking about, you know? Waivers are invalid if you can prove gross negligence. Yeah, that's probably really hard to prove, though. Max calling us out for making stuff up like he doesn't all the time. Yeah. I don't make stuff up all the time. I do make stuff up, but I usually tell you guys when I'm doing it. I'm not caught. That's not true. Come on, man. Come on. Hey. Prove that paintball game was real? You want me to leak DMs? Sure. How can I do this without like leaking where it was and on what date and stuff? Because I don't know. I don't want you guys to like look up his name or anything. You know what?
gonna not do that because leaking DM sounds weird, and you're just gonna either have to trust me uh, or not, I guess. But you know what's interesting? I literally met him on a plane going to an LCS thing, and like the second thing he ever DM'd me was an invite to his birthday. What a friendly guy. Oh, I think we actually went to. It was literally the second DM ever. I think we had been to dinner at that point for one other caster or something. Like I would rather, I guess the idea is I would rather be okay with some of you guys thinking that not trusting me and thinking I lied or made that up or something than leaking DMs to prove it. I just don't care that much. I choose to believe you are lying about being invited to a birthday party to play paintball 3 years ago. Facts. It wasn't 3 years ago. It was last year, 2023. You win this round. W. Oh, we have a waiver expert. Waivers guard against some instances, but they don't guard in case of negligence or intent. For instance, if you trip over an obstacle and break your ankle, it's not their fault. But if their equipment is poorly maintained and injures you, you can potentially fight it. Okay. Sorry if this is random, but when you reacted to Quasi video, I don't think it was ever brought up, was how a 14 Dawn is easier than an 11 Grim. That is all. Oh, I mean, I think that's just kind of happened in every like season ever though, right? Like if you were to bring the worst case scenario of like the easiest dungeon versus the hardest, usually the key level difference is a few. Usually it's not 3 though. That's a big fucking number, but it's almost always 2. And I don't think that's necessarily bad. Like, I think it's probably important that, like, from easiest dungeon to next easiest, that gap is small. But I think between hardest and easiest, I think that gap is okay. I don't think, like, every dungeon needs to be exactly the same difficulty. I think the way it plays out doesn't... Like, it's kind of fine to have some that are harder, I think. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. 3 is an even bigger number this season with them scaling steeper each level. Yeah. Is that based on completion? Because I don't really believe 14 Dawn is easier than 11 Grim. Oh, he also could have just made that up. Dude, I saw another tweet earlier that I thought was funny as fuck. Dude, there needs to be a history on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like a way for you to find tweets that you scrolled by and liked. I guess like you're supposed to just like them because then they just show up in your likes. But I just don't do that. Unfortunately. It was basically a guy rapping, but like just with his... Oh, I know I can find it. It was in my friend's Discord, I think. No. It was a guy rapping with his dog, and his dog was like growling, and he was like beatboxing, and like he was moving his dog's mouth, and it sounded sick, and it was hilarious. I don't even know. Dog rapping. I'm just going to search for dog rapping on Twitter. Maybe that'll show up. Oh, I saw that one. I know that guy. Yeah, dude, yo, link that shit up. Or send it to me on, you can't post it in chat, but you have it saved on your phone? Yo, send me that shit. Send it me on Discord or something. Max search dinosaur rap. Okay. I don't see shit. Is it this one? Let's see. Oh, you're linking a TikTok. I don't have TikTok. No. No, it's not that one. It's a similar vibe, though. It might even be the same guy, but it was a different video. Max, have you tried any Marvel yet? Yeah, you know what I did? I was playing Marvel Rivals. One second, I gotta go grab my food. I was playing Marvel Rivals with a couple of my hockey buddies, which was an interesting mix of worlds. I'm gaming with my set of friends that I met from something completely outside of gaming. It was a very interesting vibe. Was the dog wearing sunglasses? I think so, yeah. I've had a lot of fun playing Psylocke. It's very much... I mean, it's basically just Tracer. Kind of. Second. Does the hockey group know you're a gamer guy? Or do they think you're just weirdly good at stuff? I think the few hockey teams that I'm closest to that I've gotten to know a lot of the people on, they know what I do. I was incognito there for a while, but one of the guys watched my stream and blew my shit up. There's a couple of teams that I play on where they don't know what I do. There's no reason to really talk about it. You just play hockey. You know what I mean? Easy. I wonder if the hockey group knows what fuck Walmart means. I did have to explain to someone recently what fuck Walmart meant. What's your Discord, Max? It's literally maximum. That is my Discord. No numbers or anything. By the way, any YouTube content on WoW? Any more think pieces on why no one's playing the game and shit like that? Those have been popping off the last couple weeks. A couple of hockey teams. What are you, a merc for hockey teams in the area? Literally, yes. Like, that is an exact way to describe me. I'm part of a few teams, but at least at a couple of rinks I play at, I've basically played for every team because I'll just end a game and then see if anyone needs skaters and just go again. Permanently. Sent you the dog rapping video on Discord. All right, let's check out my message requests. I knew it was the fucking, you were rickrolling me. That's why I didn't show it on stream. You little bitch. Wait, someone said a pause button needs to exist. We just need a pause button explaining my reasoning for Mythic Plus. Mythic Plus got introduced during Legion, and Legion we find the Night Hold... Well, okay, maybe we'll look at this in a second. But, okay. It's crazy how negative the retail content is when the game is objectively doing pretty well, even with Classic reportedly booming way more people playing retail. None of this is new. It's happened like... So retail and Classic happens in waves. There are like times where retail's popping off and Classic is super dead, and then the same thing vice versa. And what most people do is they just bounce between the two, or they just take a break when something isn't as interesting and then they come back. And those people don't care, and those people don't post think pieces, but people who play those specific ones every now and then, they are drawn to the people that they play the game with, and when more of those people quit, the game is less fun for them, but they still just rely on that game, and so they're having like infinitely less fun. That's why they feel like they need to post about it. And then everyone else is like, the game's fine, man. Just like, we're just taking a break for a little bit. But to them, they don't have anything else, so it's like they're gonna write their think piece, right? Never mind, can't send you a video for some reason. Oh, weird. Oh, someone just tried to... Oh, I found it! Someone sent it! Someone sent it. This is it, bro. I watched this. This shit was so funny. You and your dog rap. It's so funny. Like part of it isn't funny because like that's like a really aggressive thing that dogs do. But I saw in like some of the comments that apparently his dog used to do that out of like scared, but then like he like wags his tail when he does it now because it's like he's teaching him that it's probably not good around other dogs. But yeah, the I don't know. This is funny as fuck. Rottweilers do it a lot. It's pretty common. Yeah. Reptar doesn't do it like that extreme, but he definitely he's a little weird when the dogs get around him when he's eating. Like if the other dogs get done with their food and they start like if they're across the room and look at his food, he'll hit him with a quick like brr. Like bitch, don't come over here. That seems like a scary thing to incentivize a dog to do. Yeah, I mean, it looks scary for sure. And probably just yes in general. Ooh, sweet potatoes. Okay. Sent you another YouTube video. Nah, I'm not clicking on that shit, buddy. I'll be right back. Grabbing some water.
ring buffs came in. Oh yeah, I heard it was bad. I mean, that's not surprising because it has to be good. Like, it's the same thing with the Onyx Amulet. They said, like, we want it to be good right now, but we don't want you to use it next patch. But that's just impossible. Like, you basically, I think the only way to make this make sense is you buff it to where it's bis. And then in season 2, you just nerf it. Like, let's see if they, let's see. Okay, when 11.0.7 goes live tomorrow, the Siren Isle Ring, Psychers, Circe, we're gonna move on. The new Onyx Amulet will be significantly stronger than it was in the PTR. It'll start at 639, and when fully upgraded, it will reach a maximum eye level of 658. Our goal here is to make the ring a clear choice for the remainder of Season 1, as well as keeping it relevant in Season... Oh, they're doing this again. Okay. Where it should compete with Heroic Raid gear and be replaced by drops from the Mythic Raid and High Mythic Plus dungeons. All right, I'm going to read the rest of this before reacting to that. I just want to say that this was almost exactly what they posted for the Onyx Amulet, and everyone was like, there's no way you're going to be able to tune that. You're just going to have to nerf it in Season 2. But maybe they're planning on doing that, but like the idea of balancing it where it's bis now but not completely overpowered. Like the Onyx Amulet was bis before they nerfed it, would have been bis till this expansion for healers. That's how broken it was. Let's see. This may require us to make tuning adjustments to specific gems later. Yeah, you're going to have to do that. So we can avoid unintended power spikes, and we may want to buff weaker gems as well. Nonetheless, we're focused on the item level of the ring as our guide for its performance. Okay, well, that'll make it a little bit easier because if you make the eye level the things that matter, that's way easier to tune. Before, it was like the specific gems are actually what scaled really crazy. Nonetheless, we're focused on the item level of the ring's guide performance. To be clear, we do not have specific plans to diminish the ring's overall power later. I would bet... And again, maybe this doesn't matter, because let's just say they make it really good in this patch, and let's just say we know that they're going to miss the tuning target, and they're just going to have to nerf it so it's not best in slot in Season 2, just like they did with the Onyx Amulet. Does it matter? You know? Like, does it? Who cares, you know? Like, it doesn't really matter, but that's what happened last time, and I would just be willing to bet anything that they will have to do this because that tuning target is just so precise with those random effects on the ring, so. But who cares? We make adjustments to... Yeah, okay. We hope everyone enjoys ringing in the new year. Ah, good bit. All right. Yeah, Blizzard has posted massive buffs, which should make this ring a best in slot for everyone. Oh, that's just based on their words. We don't have actual numbers yet. Let's check the WoW subreddit. Nothing. Comp WoW subreddit? Hey, what does this say? The War Within Mythic Plus runs per week. Season 1, Week 12. So, the War Within Season 1 versus Dragonflight. Okay, well, comparing Dragonflight Season 4 to anything is insane, because that's like a faded season. Like, there's just simply way less people playing the game. I would be really interested to see where the War Within Season 1 kind of lines up. There are other ones on other pages. Oh, like in this actual resource here? Oh, do I scroll over? Oh, there we go. Okay, Dragonflight Season 1, War Within Season 1. Wow, look at the fucking drop-off. What the fuck happened? Dragonflight Season 1 to Week 1 to Week 2. Christmas?
So they still had Tyrant. That is not a thing. Dragonflight Season 3. Oh, yeah. Remember that big... Dude, that was crazy that Season 3 got that many more players than Season 2. But it looks like the War Within is not necessarily falling off more than other seasons, really. It looks... The graph for the player base playing keys looks like a very similar trajectory than like the entirety of Dragonflight, which I would bet looks very similar to a lot of other patches from previous expansions, right? Starts high and then it like slowly dwindles. It's a relative decline, not sporadic. Yeah. The whole lower half of Mythic Plus was pushed to Delves. Oh, so true. That's a really good point. There's also less total key levels to climb. And yeah, I think Delves absolutely replaced like the very low level Mythic Plus, which would have bolstered these numbers. So hard to compare for sure. Holy moly, Dragonflight Season 2 fell off though. Look at that. 1 week, 2 week, and then just off a cliff. Max, we are missing 20% of the runs because Chinese players no longer play on Taiwanese servers. Oh, that makes sense. The God competing? God comp, that's not what happened here, right? So Dragonflight Season 2, the God comp thing wasn't until like probably a few weeks after this. Also in Season 2, yeah, gearing was like kind of done really early, even at like a pretty casual level.
And Diablo 4 came out. True. Wait, that is when Diablo 4 came out. I'm like positive that's when Diablo 4 came out. That's probably what this drop-off is. Let's check YouTube, bro. Warcraft. What do we got here? How good will Season 2 dungeons be? 10 days ago. What's wrong with retail Warcraft and how to fix it? Okay. Wait, me and Growl's going undercover in Mythic Plus video has 400,000 views? Holy shit. That was a good video. Wait, the top 10 worst Mythic Plus dungeons ever made got 200K. Oh, dude, I need to start making content again. That would be fun. Why are my own videos showing up on my YouTube feed? I don't want to see that shit. Even though they're fucking popping off. What are we looking at here? Mythic Plus is unfixable and it's tearing WoW apart. What a fucking title. That is a achievement even for him. All right. Okay. What's up, Kalamazi? What do you think?
What's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today's video is going to be a little different from most of my videos. It's not going to be Warlock-based. Today I want to talk to you about the current state of WoW, patch 11.0, 0.5, whatever it is now, and a bit about why the game is sort of slow at this point. Now, I want to say I think that War Within is a great expansion. I enjoyed launch. The raid was good. Dungeons are fun. The world events have been sick. I think it's good. I've had a good time playing it. But I feel like in the mid to late parts of every patch, whether it's been 11.0, 10.2, 10.1, 10.0, even like Shadowlands to a certain extent, a bit less though, things become pretty slow, and the game just sort of like, I wouldn't say falls off. It doesn't maintain a level of like interestingness, whatever that's a word, that it did. I think at least for me in like WoD. I mean, even though it was a bit of an odd expansion in Legion. BFA, so on and so forth. I think a lot of that's due to like M+, gearing, ults being very friendly, the Great Vault and all that. So I want to hit on that stuff today in this video, maybe draw some attention to it, and maybe just in general hope for some changes in 11.1.
Wait, I just want to point out something someone said in my YouTube chat. They said, you know them couches stink. Bro, I actually cleaned my house yesterday. Like, I usually have cleaners, but yesterday I vacuumed, Swiffered, and mopped every inch of my, like, the floors of my house. And, like, cleaned all the couches and all that shit. I was a fucking cleaning machine, baby.
I want the game to be
fucking
exciting,
out here.
interesting. I want to play I want to play the game more.
I've never done that
in the
before.
middle of a patch and the end of a patch, and I still want to do
Took
that.
a long fucking
but I
time.
think with the systems that are currently in place and the lack of like iteration upon certain systems, it's become very stale and frustrating to play the game in the way that I would like to mid patch and late patch. I'm not talking about borrowed power.
Someone on YouTube says, basic cleaning is not out here. That's being an adult. Oh, I was out there for sure.
AP or anything. I'm talking about playing alts and the Great Vault and M+. So
And also, fuck
Today,
you, buddy.
This video, we'll talk a little bit about that stuff, cover it. I want to know y'all's
Come on.
thoughts as well. Throw it down below in the comment section because I'm very, very curious. And let's just get it going. Now, the first thing I want to hit on is the Great Vault in its current form and things that might be able to be done to change the Great Vault to make it a better system. Now,
We've talked about this a lot. I want to let him fully cook, though. I want to let
it is came back
Kalmazi
in
fully
battle
cook
for
here.
Azeroth and things where you just had one chest you opened every week, and then what item was in there is what you got. This is a much better version of the Great Vault comparatively to what it was in BFA.
Not gonna like guess the cook here, but just stopping just to point out for a second. I have heard this take before that people prefer the Mythic Plus box to the Vault, and that I have never heard a credible argument. I just don't even understand what argument you could be making. It happens less now, but it used to be a thing.
Into Dragonflight, and now we are here in the War Within. The changes that were made in the War Within, basically they removed the PvP row here and added in the World Activities row, which is very nice for gearing alts, for like champion level gear, even if you do delves, right? You can pull a handful of hero items out of this section on your alts. Tier can populate in here as well. Tier can populate in every spot, which is very nice. And when it comes to like early gearing, the Vault feels great. You can fill all the world slots by doing delves, super easy, fast, good to go. Dungeons being, you know, I think it's 1, 4, and 8, whatever it is, feels fine as well. And plus, we'll get to that in a little while. And the raid actually being 2, 4, and 6 feels very good too. The first 4 bosses, the first 3 are very easy to pug at this point. You can even pug Roshan with relative ease, making it so you can get 2 vault slots on an alt or even like on your main character if you want to pug Mythic. That feels very good. I think one of the problems, the first one when it comes to the Great Vault though, is that it might just be a bit more for me, or I guess people that raid compared to others. But like in general, I think it loses relevancy very quickly. Now, if you're filling your Great Vault every week with like Mythic raid slots, you know, 8 M+ keys, all 10 or higher, there's a decent chance you'll have an upgrade somewhere, whether it's like a secondary set upgrade.
Early in the season, it's like basically guaranteed, but I mean, just naturally as you go later in a season, it's just way less likely. Yeah, Dorky's take kind of makes sense. So like, why people liked the old system was you only had to do 1 Mythic Plus dungeon to get the maximum amount of rewards of it per week. So when you're in like maintenance mode in the season, you just don't have to do as much rather than, you know, do a lot more. But that argument is still kind of strange though, because like if you did want to do minimal effort to get vault loot, you could still do the same thing. There's just the potential to do more, right? Like you could do 1 Mythic 10 just like you used to do to get, you used to do a 15 or whatever to get your 1 Mythic Plus box, and you would still get the same thing. You'd get a random piece from Mythic Plus, right? It's just that I guess you know that other people could be doing more, but also rewarding you for doing more makes absolute sense. I think that's like a pretty closed-minded criticism, because it's basically like, well, I mean, it makes sense. It's like that's the way you play the game. You want to put in minimal effort to get the most amount of rewards, and you don't want people to have access to like do more than that. There's a level where that makes sense. Like for example, you could make the extreme argument where this keeps going up. Complete 1 Mythic Plus dungeon, complete 4, complete 8. What if this kept going? Complete 10, 12, 15, 20, 30, right? You could make the argument that
it is rewarding people for putting in extra work, so you should have more loot slots for the exact reason you would argue that you could have 4 and 8. But like clearly they put a cap on it, so you can't like degenerately outdo it. But I think that's a somewhat credible argument from a very specific viewpoint on the game. But I still would say that this is a positive. I think it's good that you can do that. I also like they added raid to it. And the PV, I don't know how much the PV, well, they moved PvP back to its like own thing. The Delves thing is interesting. That seemed like, maybe it's something that I just can't relate to, but it just seems like that just didn't matter ever for gear, but maybe it did for a big portion of people.
Something along those lines, but it loses relevancy quickly in like a mid part of a patch because you're probably decently geared at a certain point. You might have a hero slot like this or 2 you want to replace, or you're looking for that rare chase item from the vault, whether it be Antric, Ring, you know, so on and so forth. For the most part, the vault loses a lot of relevancy mid-patch, but I think it's lost it even earlier this time around, and that is due to magnificent jeweler settings. Now, you've typically been able to take 6 golden doubloons, whatever it's called.
Bro, how do you have 4? That is an unbelievably cursed number of these to have.
Buy a socket from the actual vault. You still can. But the fact that you can just buy yourself the auction house, which is a pattern from, I think, Silken Court, to socket both your jewelry, your rings, and your neck, means you can only really essentially socket a helm, bracers, and a belt from the Great Vault. That's 3 sockets. I mean, I can tell you, there's somebody in guild that has like 6 sockets in their bags already because they don't have anything else left to do with their tokens, their coins. They've gotten to the point where they've gotten most upgrades from the raid, and albeit I know that maybe you're raiding at a higher level compared to others, but whether you're raiding only heroic, only mythic, only doing a certain level of keys, I feel like not having the option to spend those coins or sockets on, or doubloons, whatever they're called, on sockets because you've already bought a good bit of them, lessens the value of the Great Vault.
Yeah, I do. You mentioned it in chat, but I was just thinking about it myself. His Mog is fucking mint. That is a fucking crazy good Mog.
Now, I don't think you should get rid of this, but I think there are ways to elaborate and expand upon the Great Vault when it comes to actually using your tokens here, your tokens of merit, at this vendor. Now, obviously, the Spark is fine. Probably one of the more powerful things early on is a Spark here, half Spark at least. I wouldn't mind if these actually ignored the crest cap. Maybe make it 4 or 6, whatever, and give, like, you know, gilded and hero ones, whatever they are, and have it actually ignore the crest cap, similar to what, you know, renowned ones do. But
what about tertiaries? What about you get, like, I don't know, a certain amount of these tokens and you can get a mythic track 1 piece from any dungeon, so the mythic plus vault isn't random.
The 2 big things here, I think, number 1, adding a way to add tertiaries to your gear for, like, maybe
I said I was gonna let him cook, and then I just did it right in front of him anyway.
Maybe at a certain
That's
point,
fucking
you just don't
insane.
need any more sockets. So you can take 6
I have
of these
no
and
self-control.
buy a tertiary. You can buy avoidance or leech or speed or indestructible, whatever you want. Maybe you can only put it on a certain few pieces. Maybe it goes on, like, you know, tier pieces only. Like, you can limit it to some extent, so you're not running around in the next tier a full leech on a healer, something, right?
So Blizzard has actually addressed this. There was an interview question. It might have been one of mine, but it's either one of mine or I intended to ask it, and like another interview was happening at the time and they did, but someone specifically mentioned, like, why can't we use our tokens to get leech and avoidance and stuff? And they basically said, we think those things are too strong anyway, and we don't want to feel like you're going to be having leech on all your gear, so as a healer you're like carrying that gear into the new patch because a gear isn't usable unless it has leech on it. But then they nerfed the fuck out of leech for that exact reason. But it probably would still be true, at least for healers. So I think at least that was their reasoning why they wouldn't do tertiaries, which, like, it does make some sense.
But having a way to put tertiaries on your gear would be strong. It'd be effective. It'd be fun too. Little incremental ways to gain more value on your gear, to keep you engaged in the vault, doing more options to get, you know, 6 coins a week would be good, I think. I think another great option you could do for the Great Vault would actually be to maybe make it, you could probably need to make it like 12 of these, you know, coins here, unique, all 12, right? Make an item that allows...
Wait, in one of your interviews, they said they wanted us to freeze Great Vault slots? Dude, they did say that. Can you find what interview they said that? Because most times when they're like, yeah, we've been thinking about doing this thing, they always do that thing. But they never did it, and that just, it's such a slam dunk. Like if they have a blue post right now, in Season 2, vault slots can be frozen to the next week. Like, even if you pick a slot, you can, like, freeze another one. That would be, like, one of the highest approval rating posts ever. Like, everyone would be like, yes, this is obviously good. It just simply reduces the chance of bricking vaults early, middle, and late season.
You to take an item.
Just good.
Let's say my sack brood here, right? To take an item from whatever track it's on to the next track. So if I have this sack brood at hero, 6 out of 6.
Yeah, so true.
Let's say I have 2 bad vaults.
Which is part of the Dinar system, right? Like, so, like, one of the bits with Dinar, at least in the first Shadowlands, like, Fated season, was, like, that was only part of the equation. The other part was, like, you got things from the raid to drop in that little Fated season that let you jump up, like, a Mythic, Heroic. There wasn't, like, ranks on the items then, but, like, they were, like, just Heroic and Mythic. Or normal. You could go, like, normal. Because, like, Dinar just gave you the normal item, right? And then you just looted things off bosses that let you bring them up to Mythic or Heroic difficult, or, like, quality. But, yeah, having a track jump is super interesting.
2 weeks in a row, I have 12 tokens on me. I can go to the vendor, say, hey, I have 12 tokens. I'm capped out. Give me this item. This item, I can use in my sack brood, take it from hero to myth. I have to upgrade it, you know.
Yeah, this is not a new take.
6, but that would be, I think, astronomically massive when it comes to keeping the Great Vault relevant. Because there are so many items at M+ that have niche abilities, or, you know, like trinkets, sack brood, changeling, unique items, weapons, whatever.
Yeah, there's always going to be a couple items in Mythic Plus, even if it's just like a ring with your best stats on it. Although I guess crafting it's like a slightly better version of a craft. But usually rings are better because, like, crafting can only give you, like, stats that are equal, right, if you use a missive. But, like, at really high levels, you actually want pieces of gear that have your very best stat with a lot of it, and, like, ideally your second best stat with a little of it. But even is actually worse than having, like, more of your better one. So, like, usually Mythic Plus rings are better than crafts because of that, too. I mean, this has been suggested. This has been been suggested many times over the years, but it is something that I think would just be good for the game. I think the main concern with this is people are saying, like, okay, well, if you're spending 12 tokens for a track skip, then you're just gonna, like, brick vaults that are actually good just to upgrade a specific trinket. But I'm not super concerned about that. I think by the time in the season you would actually do that, that's fine. Like, for example, realistically, would it be worth it to brick a, like, Heroic to Mythic upgrade on a tier slot or a weapon or what you got out of your Mythic Plus box, but just, like, basically a Heroic to Mythic upgrade? Would it be worth bricking one of those or a tier piece in the first, like, 3 to 4 weeks of a season just to get 1 out of 2 weeks done to get a track skip on, like, a Mythic Plus trinket? That's just... That would be bad if that's what you wanted to do, but that would just be a bad decision. Like, that would be not a good decision to progress the power on your character, because you know you can just eventually do that when you actually miss a vault, right? When you actually make sense to make that decision. Max, I found the interview. I just put it in Discord in general. Wait. Okay. Dude, are you a sleuth right now? Wait, it was my interview. Look at that.
Like, the ability to claim multiple rewards in a week to the vault as, like, a catch-up mechanic, or something that, you know, an alt who comes in later could get more things.
I have lost so much weight since this interview that you can see it in my face. I mean, I know this was when was this? This was 2 years ago. I think in this video I was 215 or 220 pounds. And right now I'm 175, I think. That's cool. I haven't like looked at a before and after thing.
From the vault. Like, that's the kind of philosophical direction that we would want to look at for something like that, versus, well, now I have to do a vault on, you know, this character every week because I need that, you know, avoidance or whatever. I could keep going in this one too.
No, that's no.
Okay, but the point is he was like, we have these ideas for the Great Vault, but they haven't actually implemented them. Right? Interesting. Do it. Do it. Going back.
That people want at max eye level. It never feels like you can get fully BIS gear with your BIS sack or whatever, unless you just straight up just RNG roll a sack brood one of your slots here. I've gone multiple patches with, you know, like a hero version, a non-BIS version, but BIS trinket from M+. I just don't roll it. And that's like a crazy amount of RNG, but making it so you can control that RNG and eventually guarantee that you can get an actual item that you want that's BIS from M+ at Myth Track, albeit for 12 coins, I think it'd be more than fine. You can buy sockets early on, buy tertiaries, and if you have 12, take an item from hero to myth, or
Completely agree. And if not for any other reason that you should be able to target pieces, I just think it's crazy that probably for every single class, every single player in the game, one of your best in slot items at least comes from Mythic Plus, meaning that you need a Mythic track version of that item. So for every other version of the game, PvP, raid, if there's a best in slot like raid item, you know by raiding Mythic, you will eventually get that item. You could either get it fast or whatever, but like you know that like you can complete content weekly that drops that thing. But in Mythic Plus, it's actually impossible to guarantee, no matter how high of a level you play at, it is impossible to guarantee. In fact, it is unlikely that throughout an entire season, or at least until you would quit a season on average, that you would even see that item in your Mythic Plus vault. You're rolling like you're doing 1 out of 80, 89 or like 100 rolls for how many things are currently in a dungeon pool. And it's like you're just very, very unlikely to ever see it, right? But at least in raid, like you can raid at a high enough level and like get rewarded for the level you play at and get those better items. But in Mythic Plus, there's actually no way to do that. So I think that the vault thing needs to exist, if not just for that reason alone.
even champion to hero, whatever you play at. You can take it from veteran to champion, whatever you want. One track to the next, I think would be great for the Great Vault personally. The last thing I want to hit on for the Great Vault, honestly, is like, I think this is more of a gear thing, which we'll get into in a minute here as well, sort of a transition in a sense. The fact that you open Myth 1 out of 6 gear from the Great Vault feels pretty bad. I believe you opened 3 out of, well, I think it was 2 out of 4, something like that, maybe even 3 out of 4. I think, possibly. It might even been 1 out of 4 in Dragonflight. But the fact that they've taken Myth from 4 out of 4 max to 6 out of 6 means that it's taking 30 more crest to upgrade, you know, from 4 to 6. And on top of that, like, saying, cool, I opened this awesome item, but I have to dump a whopping, let's see, 15, 30, yeah, 75 crest into it when my weekly cap is 90. It's pretty insane. Making the Great Vault start at like, even like 2 out of 6, but likely 3 out of 6 would be great. Maybe you can make plus 12 start at 3 out of 6 and M plus if you want. That'd be okay.
Or how
too.
about
I mean,
how about like, okay, so I think here's something that's fair. If you're doing, I mean, he's kind of sounds like he's starting to do this. He said like plus 12 is giving you more, but like, right, if you do a plus 10, you're getting the highest like version. You're at least getting it on Myth Track, which is like, that's the main goal, because then you have the ability to make it BIS or upgrade it. But like if you do 12s, if you do 14s, if you do 16s, like every 2 levels, having them drop 1 Myth Track higher simply so it just saves crests. It'd be really OP early in the season, but it would just be like a really nice thing later in the season. Like saving crests early in the season is super important. But I feel like that would go along with the like rewarding you for your play. I think that adds up. I fuck with it.
Like,
fuck with it heavy.
At doing 10s, A plus 12s give rank 3 out of 6 in the vault. Maybe there's that. If you want to do something like that. I think there are a handful of ways to change the Great Vault, whether you add in the gear upgrade item from hero to myth, whatever have you. Add in a tertiary avoidance leech item, right? Increase the actual myth eye level of the vault. And like we talked about, sockets, I mean, they're going to lose their relevancy with this being, you know, item in the game, but I think that's okay. I think the bigger thing, though, is trying to maintain relevancy from the Great Vault, mid patch, late patch, when people are, you know, maybe getting to the point where like, it's getting a little stale. I'm not logging in for my 1 key a week. Why not do something like that? Keep the Great Vault relevant. That's one of my biggest things when it comes to making changes.
I agree with everything he said about the Great Vault. Except maybe, now that I'm thinking about it, the getting you higher on the myth track and saving you crests. Is that what this person's talking about in chat? Yeah, yeah, moving the goalposts. There is a level of like technically you get the same eye level as you used to get by doing like a 5 than you used to get for a 15, but because the potential highest reward is a 20, you saw so many people upset with Mythic Plus at the beginning of this season because they felt like the key level they had to do was just the one that gave you the best loot at the end of the week. So they were going to do that no matter what it is. But Blizzard made that number higher, and they made the dungeons harder in general, and they made them scale harder, like more in between each level, to where like now for the past 4 years you've been doing the key level that gets you the highest Great Vault loot, but now that's just significantly harder, and that led to a lot of like friction, right? But if you made it so you actually save crests, yeah, you need to do 10s for your weekly, but if you did 11s and 12s and 13s and 14s where you're saving crests on those slots, then again, you'd run into the issue of people feeling like that's what is required of them to do and they're not good enough to do it, and that just adds a ton of frustration and complaining. And also, I think Blizzard's clear point past a 12 where it's like a different game, it would be weird for them to add rewards past that point because they kind of made it clear that like the reason you would ever go past a 12 is purely to like push IO score. Like they don't want it to. I mean, now it gives you more crests, I guess, which is just kind of a good thing. But crests are, I think, easier to cap. It's like a finite resource, right? I don't know. They could maybe do 11 because we talked about one big issue in the dungeons currently is there's such a massive gap between like going above 12s because like there's really no reason to even go above a 10. So like there's not a lot of 11s. So maybe you could put one at 11 and kind of get people closer to that. I don't know. I don't know if that's even relevant, but
for 11.1 and beyond. Let's talk a bit though about gearing, because gearing is also very important and plays a bit also in the Great Vault. Second general category that I want to hit on here for when it comes to
what's this? Crest upgrade in Valor
is
Stones.
Gearing. Now,
right.
I think that
Fuck yeah.
Blizzard made a handful of changes to the gearing system when it came to Warthen's launch by increasing Myth's track to 6 out of 6, which we hit on a minute ago with Great Vault stuff. But you can also just get, Myth gear from the raid. If you're raiding Mythic, you'll get Myth gear to drop, and upgrading from 1 out of 6 to higher takes a lot of crest, right? You're looking at spending 15, 30, 45, 60, 75 gilded crest, which are limited to 90 per week. 75 of those 90 are going from upgrading one piece from 1 to 6, which when you have...
I want to talk about what someone mentioned in chat. What do you think about around halfway into the season, a 15 would drop 1 to 2 mythic items? It couldn't be a 15 because that's the level where they only want you to do, like, for pushing yourself. But the reason that Mythic Raid can drop Mythic Crest gear is because it's on a weekly lockout. I don't think you should have, like, spammable Mythic gear. But I kind of fuck with that. What? Halfway through the season on a 10 or a 12? So at either the 0.5 or 0.7 patch for people who are still playing, right? Fuck it. If you're still playing, why not? You have it where once a week for each Mythic Plus dungeon, I guess, if you wanted to like target specific pieces, like at the end of the dungeon, like the gear that drops is Mythic, right? But also that like, you're not even guaranteed to get a piece though, right? Because like isn't it like 2 or 3 pieces for your whole party? And then like, but it would have to be on like a weekly lockout. It couldn't be spammable. I mean, could it be spammable? Like, does it even matter at that point? It's so late in the season.
A plethora of them. It takes a exceptionally large amount of crest. I'm capped at 1170, and I still have pieces I can upgrade. I have my cloak. I have technically my sacred. I have a ring from Anshrek, which I guess will drop at a higher eye level, but you get what I'm saying, right? Now, I don't think experimentation is bad when it comes to
He's on a B.
Trying to increase like the longevity of the gearing grind and things in World of Warcraft. People capped out very early on in tiers like Aberrus. Gearing is very, very fast. Mirdasil was a bit slower, but still, gearing is pretty fast. But I feel like we've gone maybe a bit too far in one direction where a lot of my friends just said, hey, I hit 635, whatever it is, 630. I just stopped playing. I don't care enough anymore. I'm going to come back next patch and have 630. That's fine. I'm going to replace that gear with a blue from the new zone. Whatever it is, what it is. And obviously, that's a bit excessive, but it does sort of feel like we've gone a bit too far in the direction of, this is maybe a bit too much of a grind compared to what it was in Dragonflight in certain tiers. And I think a lot of that's due to the fact that we have Myth 6 out of 6 on gear. And also the fact that the crafting vendor, wherever he is here, takes a whopping 90 gilded crests to craft one item at mythic level. Now, I think it was 60 in Dragonflight, and that seems fine. That seems fair. I know when it came to early mythic raiding, like past the first couple weeks or whatever, people made staves and stuff with 2 sparks and all that. We didn't craft anything for a while past our first craft because it cost.
Yeah, so we can ignore some of this because since he made this video, they did nerf this and now it is 60. It's kind of hard because this entire section is labeled as like just crest upgrades and valor stones, but a little outdated.
So many.
W Blizzard
crests.
for changing it though.
That is literally an entire week's worth of gilded crest to make one item. And most of the items you wanted to make, once you made like a staff, were very like a very little value, like a belt or bracers or boots with a lesser embellishment on them, which is just not worth committing 90 gilded crests to. A lot of players took their heroic crest from just Ansharek and said, hey, we're just going to make a heroic item on bracers with embellishment on it. That's okay. I had that for a while too. But even now, when I need to get Roshan on Cloak, I have a hero one on still. I don't want to spend 90 gilded crests, which takes, what, I don't know, 6-7 dungeons to run or a full raid clear, you know, for a 4K upgrade, whether it's on a cloak or bracers, or if you're making an item later on into a tier. I was debating making a chest for Ansharek progs. It was the like biggest raw gain. 90 gilded crests feels bad on an item that I'm not gonna keep around for a long time. Is not bis and just feels generally awkward. So I think a big thing is we can reduce this to 60 and it will make things feel much better next tier, in future tiers when it comes to crafting.
Oh, Dan, this is so funny how outdated this is, and they literally did it. But W Kalamazoo, maybe they did it because of him.
Chest, gloves, legs. Maybe you can make those 6 out of 6.
Did someone say
like
Bellular
belts,
mentions the potty seat in his video?
Rings, bracers. You can probably make these 4 out of 4.
Dude, the potty seat
like
is a cultural force, by the way.
More of a longer grind when it comes to gearing, which is probably their goal. People playing the game longer, you know, mid-patch, late patch to gear up more. But not be like, yo, it's week, I don't know, week 15, whatever it is now, with the expansion coming out. I'm still not done. We're getting into like
the gilded crest thing is too far, but like there's so many issues that have been kind of fixed. Like they increased acquisition, they made it easier to get Harbinger of the Gilded, way easier. They made it 60 for crafts. They did like a ton to address like almost this entire point. But he still talks about this for a bit. I imagine for the next minute and a half, he's just going to mention that Valor Stones shouldn't exist,
like,
which is a pretty...
DTR should be out for the next patch by now, but it's Christmas time. So it's like, I think a good change would definitely be drawing back a bit on the 6 out of 6 system and also looking at the crafted cost of Gilded Crest. I think that would go a long way for crafting. It wouldn't make the grind feel terrible. The last thing, brother, I don't know why he's in the game. I think the crest system, once again, is actually just good on its own. Crest almost feel like Valor in a sense back in the day. You could take Valor and upgrade gear. You could do whatever with it. They're similar in a sense. I don't know why Valor Stones are in the game.
We can probably just skip this. I think everyone's on the... If we're just trying to preserve some time here, I think everyone would agree that Valor Stones just... They just don't... We don't even have to summarize it. It's just... They only ever feel bad, and when they don't feel bad, they're indifferent. They're never good. It's just only a bad feeling, potentially.
Late patch,
so let's just skip this.
Characters, making alts a bit easier to play in gear. Section 3, alts. For those that don't know, this is Ronnie Coleman. This is my ult. This is my prop paladin. I played him a lot. I actually beat the mage tower for prop paladin before it actually became difficult or easy before they nerfed it. I played him a lot in WoD, even into Legion. He was like my co-main with my warlock. If you watch my streams early on in BFA, I basically had a character of every single class.
That's crazy. I didn't know. I thought he was a warlock only.
I had
Andy.
a bunch DPS, and I greatly enjoyed opening great vaults and gearing them up. I played them all in WoD as well before I streamed. I think it was very fun being able to gear alts in a sense through my main to various systems in WoD and things of the sort. Now, character gearing, I think this is the biggest turnoff, at least when it comes to a lot of my friends have talked about. I literally asked them about, like, hey, why aren't you playing the game right now? And they said, man, my alts are around 630. The crest grind's not good. I want to play, or sorry, my main's around 630. The crest grind ain't great. I want to play alts, but brother, I log into my alt. I need to gear up through keys. I just log out. I feel the exact same way. Ronnie Coleman hit 80 about 3 weeks ago. He doesn't have any Gilded Crest. The cap currently is 1,170. I think he get 12.
Dude, you know what's crazy is I had this exact same feeling that he's about to describe to you, but the crest number that I needed to farm was, I think, half of this. It was like 500 or 600, and even then, the response in my brain was overwhelmingly no fucking way. Just no fucking way. And it was just, that was it. The alts didn't get played, and this is double that.
Let's say Ronnie Coleman runs, I think it's 8 or...
But to be fair, this point is also outdated. Ronnie Coleman, he's saying he's getting 12 per key. So starting tomorrow, he's going to have Harbinger of the Gilded because of the changes they made, which is going to mean he gets hella upgrades per run. You can also do higher keys to get more crests. If you deplete, you don't lose as many crests. So, like, I even asked Dratnos this because I think he messes with this a lot, and he has Harbinger of the Gilded. He said, like, playing an alt with the Harbinger of the Gilded achievement on your main, which is very attainable now, and running, like, 10s is going to be, like, real. You're going to get geared really fast. You're doing, like, almost 2 upgrades per Mythic Plus. That's fucking... what it used to be is you would get, if you timed the key, you would get just below 1 upgrade, but combination of Harbinger of the Gilded and the crest increases, it's almost 2 per key, which is majorly
whenever he
different.
runs, he's an alpha. He'll time every one. Even if I run...
But you still need Valor Stones.
Every single dungeon for Gilded Crest, if I time every single one, it's going to take 98 dungeons. 98 Mythic Plus dungeons.
Okay, but even after the buffs, though, it's still going to be like 40. Even with Harbinger of the Gilded to get caught up. But, I mean, an argument some people would make, though, this is how I feel. Some people are like, you don't need to be 100% max eye level on your character to have fun playing it. And I can understand that. For me, I absolutely do, which is stupid. But, like, for me to have fun playing it, I would just need to be doing challenging content, and I would want to be geared enough to where I feel rewarded for the effort I'm putting in to play the character well. Like, if I'm playing the character really well and I'm doing bad damage because I have 0 gear, even if we're still doing the content, I'm not having fun doing that. Personally, that's me, right? I know some people also feel that way, but I know some people don't. Like, because this is looking at it very binary. It's basically saying I would have to do 97 Mythic Plus runs, or even cut this in half. I'd have to do 40, which is still an insane amount of keys to get, like, caught up. It's almost like binary. Like, you need to get to that point before this character is fun. And that is how I feel. That's not how everyone feels, though. Like, very strongly, some people are like, I would definitely have fun along the way learning and getting better at the character.
To max out his Gilded Crest. And my main is maxed out. My main's still not fully geared. I need probably about 120 more Gilded Crest on my main. That's not including the Weather Harbinger Crest grind. The normal heroic ones to grind through that. Just the general gearing process. Crest acquisition is so incredibly subpar right now. I want to play my alts. I had an army of alts for a long time. I want to play them. But honestly, when I log into them and look at their gear,
I think we should maybe skip this part because
I don't want to do that.
I want to go to Mythic Plus and key depletion because a lot of the rest of this has been addressed. And maybe you could argue that it should be addressed further, but like those are conversations to be had after seeing how this new one feels, I think.
And the last thing I want to hit on here is Mythic Plus. Now, I am not a world first M pluser. I run 10s, 12s, all that. I get the urge to run higher keys every once in a while. You know, a couple weeks throughout the expansion, oh yeah, let's run M plus grind score. You know, I'm not going for title. I don't have a group or anything, but I enjoy doing it with chat, people on stream. Just in general, I enjoy doing it. Before I streamed, like in Legion and things, I pugged probably about, like, I don't know, 15-ish eye level, 16 eye level, or 16 key level, whatever that is now roughly. And it was fun, but my general drive for M plus has definitely lessened over the years. Now, I think it's probably more of a me thing compared to others. Some people love M plus, and that's great. Happy for you. Glad you want to push for it. Legit. I'm not really down to play the game 7 days a week. I want to be able to chill a little bit. But either way, I think that when it comes to M plus, I've heard a lot of players say that it's never been any less exciting. I'm not talking people pushing world first keys, doing MDI, TGP, all that kind of stuff. People doing average keys doing 10s for their weeklies, doing 11s, trying to get into the 12s and stuff. The step up from 11 to 12, I have never seen more of a step up than that ever in the history of this game. I feel like when it comes to M+, and
Yeah.
it was much worse early on in the season. I feel like, though, one thing that really needs to be looked at in M+ is key depletion. Blizzard put out an article or a post about a week ago saying, hey, we banned a bunch of players that were leaving a lot of keys. Essentially, I mean, they were depleting keys for whatever reason early on. Obviously, if you're leaving keys a bunch and they caught you, let's be honest here, you're probably not, the chances are pretty high you deserved it, right? You deserved the ban. You're not leaving because of keys.
I would just say most times you see someone publicly being like, I got banned for no reason. I would say my mind immediately is like, they probably did it. Even though for sure some people don't. But yeah, I don't know. Like I know like THD, for example, I think recently got like banned on Lost Ark or something. And I know for an absolute fact he would never, like, I think it was for RMT or something. There's literally no way. Like he would never, ever do that. He like religiously would never do that. We've even, like when we were doing Terrace Land, what was it? Like when we were doing that sponsored stream, they gave us some money literally just to like swipe if we needed to get caught up. It's very little, but it was like really efficient to do. And THD just wouldn't do it out of principle. Not kidding. Like our whole group was given money to do that if they wanted to. And THD literally could not get himself to do it. And we were annoyed by it. Like I know for a fact he didn't do it. He's like religiously against spending money on games like that. So I saw that the other day and that like kind of poked my hole in that theory. But most times when I see people do that, I am instantly suspicious.
Leaving keys early and being toxic. Now, when it comes to key depletion, right, there's a threshold that you have to find of what keys can deplete and what keys can't. I don't think making it so keys will never deplete at any rank is a good idea. That could be a thing they want to do, but I feel like Blizzard has made it so that, like, basically 11 and below is like, you have like the lesser affix from Xalatath. 12 and above is where things get much more difficult. It scales more, things hit harder, so on and so forth, right? Now, if you made it so keys at a level of 11 and below never deplete.
You asked what did he end up doing with the money?
He didn't get the money. Like, basically, how it worked, I think, was like, I mean, they were paying Liquid, like Liquid, the org was like paid for that. And then I think each player got a like small amount for some specific streams, like specific raid races with Echo. But we were playing all the time outside of that, but like that's where those were. But for the swiping thing, it wasn't we were getting paid for it. It was a reimbursement. Like you could do a certain amount, like it was like $100 or something, and they would reimburse it. But if you didn't spend it, you wouldn't get like reimbursed. It was just like they were just paying for you to do it, and he still didn't do it. that's how I know that he would never do that.
That would be,
Like we were literally annoyed with him. We were like, dude, please just
base,
fucking do
right?
it.
11 and below, you're not really pushing keys or anything. I mean, there's some sword to be had for, myself there as well. I don't really run plus right now, as you can see. But you're not getting into that territory of like, all right, this is where the big dogs roll, plus 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 at that point, right? And at the same time, if you're in a coordinated group, let's say you have a 17 City of Threads, whatever. I have no idea what city is at this point, but let's say you have a 17 City of Threads. Have 12 and higher keys still deplete, right? So if you get that, key that you can push in your group.
Oh, I like this. So this is the high key being designed differently thing. So lower keys, if you're pushing up to a 10, they literally never deplete.
Like a legit world first or score, a really high, really high finish. You're not just going in there and pushing the same key over and over. Maybe you barely miss it at the end. Oh, run it again, 17. Oh, we barely missed it. Run it again, 17. First pull scuffed. Run it again.
Well, isn't that same problem gonna exist below a 10 though? Like, you're just gonna like pull the same dungeon until you can do it. I don't know.
17. I think you still want to maintain the essence of like pushing keys and getting that key. All right, we got to go in here. Ready to go. If we scuff it, that's unfortunate, but we had a shot at it, right? You don't want it to be like
it makes pugs less risk averse.
High teams can come in and just straight up, pull the same key at the same rank over and over and over. People are doing 10s and 11s, even below that, man. They're not MDI heroes. They're not looking to push, world first, intergalactic gladiator of M+, man. We're just doing keys for weekly stuff and chilling, personally, I don't really care if they complete
Intergalactic
a whole lot. It is
Gladiators?
what it is. But I feel like for the average player,
Dude, also, speaking of Intergalactic, this is a totally different tangent, but does anyone else, like, find it so insufferable to follow game, like, news and just, like, what the gaming community is thinking about things? And just seeing any game that doesn't have, like, a white male protagonist just have the worst people you know constantly saying that it's woke and it's gonna fail? Oh my god, is it fucking... It's so boring. Like, just fucking... Just, like, do something else, you know?
removing key depletion would be a very large step in direction. I'm drinking some water, not editing it out.
Like, how could you possibly care?
And making M plus.
I know it's like a larger thing in like this culture war shit, but oh my god, it's just holy fuck. What a brutal look, man.
And exciting. We've all been in a group.
How did you
where-
pivot from Intergalactic to that? Isn't that the name of the new Naughty Dog game? I think, or something like that. That's why I pivoted to it. It's like, yeah, God, it's so fucking annoying, man.
You're playing with a pug or somebody, and you have one bad pull, they just leave. Bricks the whole key. And it feels bad. It feels terrible, whether it's your key or somebody else's. Maybe it's your weekly 10. Maybe it's your first one. Maybe it's your 7th one. It feels bad, right? If that happens in a setting where 11 and below don't deplete, that sucks. Unfortunate. Find their DPS. Go again. It's no big deal, right? But at that 12 or higher threshold, once again, they begin to deplete. Right now, you could say, oh, well, that may make somebody, you know, it'll make it easier to run weekly 10s and all that, but I don't think it's a big deal. I really don't. I think making M plus below that ranking of 12 where you have like that, okay, this is where the big dogs roll. Easier to access for the average player to do things with. The keys don't deplete anymore. I think it would be just a great step for M plus.
I mean, I also think this is on a very similar topic. We already talked about this today, but like that survey thing where they were potentially going to have, you know, like no key timers below a 12 and have it be based on deaths. It's just not surprising that they would consider what he just said to like no depletion. Like a lot of the like that's where most people are doing Mythic Plus, and people hate timer. I don't know if it's the right thing to do. I can't imagine a version of it right now where that's like not a really annoying thing that people just like take their time on, but I think Classic kind of shows people are willing to like take their time on things, and I think timers like give people a lot of anxiety. I think it's definitely worth exploring. I don't think it's bad that they're asking the question, but I also just can't foresee that in my head being like good content for the masses of the game. But also Classic and Retail are very different for those reasons, right? Like, I don't know.
Now, when it comes to other things about M plus, you can get into a lot of stuff here about the change to kicks, or if you stun a mob, it'll recast, that kind of stuff. Just like how they've changed M plus to be very punishing with kicks, interrupts, and CC that's needed, and just the general changes to M plus that's happened over the past couple expansions. You can get into that and talk about that for an hour and a half. Jack's made videos on that, which are great. People that run M plus more have more passionate opinions about it than I do. I typically get to about 3.1k, give or take.
That's like an issue in the content creator space usually, is like usually the bigger content creators are the ones that are doing keys at the top, and they're the most passionate about the game, so they give really passionate opinions. But then also their view on keys is you can have a different perspective, you can try to gain one, but usually it is of what keys are like doing above a 12 or what used to be like up in the 20s, right, before they changed the key levels. But that's also like, so you have the most passionate people with the most following giving takes on the Mythic Plus scene, when we know statistically that like, I think the number is like 98.5%, at least when the numbers were 20, like 20 was where you got your portals. Like that is where 98% of people stopped doing Mythic Plus, right? So like you're not missing the perspective, but your perspective is certainly altered in a completely different experience if you're doing like keys higher than that, or what would be a 10 now, right? There's not a lot of like really, like, can you guys think of a really prominent content creator with thousands of viewers on Twitch and, you know, a bunch of following on social media, and like their main content is doing keys, but it's at a very low level, right? Like intentionally. Usually what happens when you really, really like it, there's not going to be a lot of examples of that. But the reason that you don't see that is if you are a streamer who's playing keys all the time and you find keys really fun and you're passionate about it, you're naturally going to be better at them, which means you're doing them a lot. What happens when you get better at something and you do it a lot? You go up in ranking. What is going up in ranking in Mythic Plus? Doing high keys, right? So like naturally the perspective will always push someone out of the lower keys, which can relate to the most people, into the thing that is unrelatable, right?
I haven't cared at all this patch, man. I ran a bunch of tier sides, some Orakaras, build my vault, have a good time with chat. That's basically it. All finishes off with 12s and 13s for, you know, next patch, I'm sure. But I haven't really felt
Also true in all of
any
gaming.
less
True in
drive
rating too.
ever in history of M Plus than I do now to get on and do keys. I think for me personally, it's a mix of just like, you know, hugging, not having a team. That's my own issue. I'm talking more like on just the average player's POV. Key depletion feels like a mechanic that shouldn't be in the game, even based on the direction the game's going in general, how it's been changing the past few years. And something that I think Blizzard should look into a lot to try and remove or at least alleviate key depletion from the lesser difficulty.
What is it? The
11
number
and
is off, or 2.5% of players have all 12s though, which seems to be the real cutoff. So that number is a little higher now. I said like above what used to be 20s or now 10s was 98.5%. The reason that number is different now, and it's also a reason why that like Reddit thread thing shows the War Within having less like runs than like Dragonflight at the beginning, for example. But the reason why is there are less overall key levels to conquer, but also lower keys have just been replaced by delves that don't show up here. Like there is absolutely someone who used to be running stuff under a 10 in the old Mythic Plus system that exclusively do delves now, and that entire data point is removed from this. That would also make the percentage of people doing Mythic Plus skew higher towards who's doing like higher keys compared to old stats, at least.
low keys, you know, leave it in 12s. Y'all want to be punished in there, go for it. Hey, whatever you're into, it's fine. I don't really care. But, you know, for the most part, key depletion to some extent needs to be looked at and likely removed for just the betterment of the overall player base and their general M plus experience. And the last thing I want to hit on here, very briefly, is a system. Hear me out before everybody judges here. A system similar to Dinar's or.
We've heard this take a million times. All right, W. Wait, someone wants a pause button.
We just need a pause button. Explaining my reasoning for Mythic Plus. Mythic Plus got introduced during Legion. In Legion, we find the Night Hold, including the Night Well. Chronomatic Anomaly aside, we have Elisande and her phase transition mechanic, the Time Stop. Perfect for the encounter raid setting, but is also a perfect fit for Mythic Plus. This mechanic, at least for the encounter room, stops all CDs from recovering and all buffs running out, as well as all movement, which means if it's possible to have this effect active across the entire instance, it would make a good addition to improve the overall experience, as well as the learning curve for new players and forming teams. The way it should/could work, you get an extra button during Mythic Plus. Or you could just have it be your extra action button, or I guess just like a separate bind. Yeah, once pressed by one team member, everyone else can confirm a stop demand with a certain time frame. Once time stops, all CDs and buffs, yeah, you basically just pause the game. These stops can only be done out of combat to, first of all, simplify it, and second, not run into these situations where the timing will restart. Given that the server knows if signals are returning to clients, IRL issues interfering with this. So, in higher keys, I don't think it's necessarily a good thing, but we know that there's precedent to design it different for the different levels of the game. But like going up to a plus 10, I don't know if someone like has to like go to the door or like go AFK, which is like, it's a long dungeon. Like that's a very real thing. Asking for like a group pause. That sounds not bad. I don't necessarily hate that. Usually when you're implementing things like this into the game, you have to ask like what it replaces. Like you could say like basically any potential option is good, but like everything that is put into the game has dev time. So when you're putting in something, you're technically choosing to spend your time building that versus other things, and then they take a certain amount of time to get made. But is this just to save a key? Yeah, I mean, like what if you get a DC, right? Like let's say they sense that someone disconnected from the key, right? And then it will just pause. I kind of like that. Or you see someone DCs, so you hit the pause to give them time to rejoin. You could also use this to grief people, though, but I guess you have to have people confirm it. But, like,
Like 3 out of 5 people say yes. I don't know. I don't want to read this whole thing, but I feel like especially for lower level content in Mythic Plus specifically, that would actually be pretty cool. I kind of like it actually. On the extremely degenerate fun side of this, you guys know how, like, have you guys ever watched like glitchy speed runs where like certain pause animations and stuff and doing stuff at certain times can like brick the fucking game? Part of me with this is thinking like what you could do at a high level, like learning exactly when to pause and like doing some crazy shit with your cooldowns, or like making something bug out that would be like really fun to figure out on a degenerate level, you know? Sounds like a lot of work to solve a pretty small problem. Yeah, maybe you're right. Shit. All right, boys. I think I'm going to finish my food and go blow up, do some other shit. Nice little yap session today. Nice little 3 hours. Make sure you guys check out the potty cast. The potty C. Oh, also 50% of you said you didn't want to pause Mythic Plus. All right, well, that says it then. Thanks for the yap today, boys and girl. Shout out women. And yeah, I'll be live tomorrow for the patch. I'm probably gonna go live during the like when it says the maintenance is over. So it might come up early, but I'm gonna try to play a pickup game tomorrow at 1, so I should be home around 3. So selfishly, I hope it gets delayed. But if it doesn't, I'm happy for you all because you get to play it earlier. All right. Anyways, see you guys.